And looking at this particular slide deck, these are the results from what parents in the community said in terms of which ones they've identified as being the most their favorite slogan amongst the ones that were shared.
It looks like a clear winner.
So we have empowering minds, embracing wellness, and fostering kindness was 19 folks. Healthy minds, stronger communities, brighter futures, 18. Rooted in strength, guided by kindness, committed to doing right, 15. Strong roots, kind hearts, right actions. Hey, Alvin.
Alvin, is that you or is it her?
That's her, of course. I'm here.
Well, you were in originally, so we thought, because it's not technically, this is a separate meeting.
Oh. But you thought it was-
So we thought it was you.
Strong roots, strong schools, strong spirits. Stronger families, stronger schools, healthier communities was the highest of the group. And then wellness begins at home, thrives in our school, in our schools. So we can just take a moment, reflect on that graph, as well as if we can just take the next 5 minutes, just to give a once over. It is back to back around the things that you see parents and community members say in terms of why they chose that, other things that they believe in terms of what resonated with them and how they defined wellness. I think it will go a long way in terms of us saying, even though we have this, we don't necessarily have to just say we're going with the one that had the highest amount of selections, but we take it into account and then make a decision as a collective group and come to consensus. Okay, so just take the next, I'm gonna put my timer on, just to keep us together. I'm gonna put 5 minutes on the clock for us to just quickly review
While we're
that.
doing that, I know Grace is not on right now, but I know she had mentioned she felt there still wasn't enough of a response.
So I think it's a good sample size.
I think 100 is a decent number.
Good.
It's a good sample size, and then we can take the one that we select and then send it out more widely again to get additional feedback before we say this is going to be where we go. Great.
Just so you know, we'll pass it out at our school on Dojo. Hopefully nobody's doing it. No, I do. Favorite towel right behind you. I'm looking about the top. It's good that it's not so hot, Pages.
Right. Right. That's always up for. Yes.
Alvin, turn your name tag around.
Hold on, name tag's on.
It's not facing out.
Facing out.
Another 30 seconds.
Picked up. Here. We need to, let's put the alarm. My car, it should have revolving doors on it.
So
Then
crazy.
you get to have.
What, you ever have three?
Right.
Great. I mean, I only have two, and it's a lot.
The third broke my brain.
My brother has four, my younger sister has four, and my older sister has three. So we're the only ones in the family that, in my family that have two, and I grew up with four, so that
Yeah.
was my, just what I was used
We all
to,
had
so. But certainly now as a dad, and you see like, oh my God, just with two, it's crazy.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
so I can't even imagine how my parents did what they did, and how parents now that have more than just a few kids. Once you're outnumbered, I feel like.
Me too, you know, I feel like everything is so much more like organized now, it's always like an organized sport or an organized activity or an I think like then, like we were doing a little more like in the community, kind of like going on the bikes and seeing who's
Yeah,
around,
it's
running
true.
down to the park,
True.
and there's like a little bit less of.
We were
Very
outside
true.
every day.
seeing who's,
Like-
you know,
Like
Exactly.
organized stuff versus just go and play with your friends. because you know
yeah,
about your
so there's
friends.
more on us
Yeah.
now
Yeah, yeah.
than there was.
Just don't go farther than your dad can whistle. That was basically what we had.
Yeah,
Dad can whistle, blow the horn, and then we knew what that was about it.
Because you had discipline
Yeah,
and you had parents that cared.
yeah. Well, they should have taught us the way. Different era.
Like everybody was kind of walking down the park. So you knew you went to the park to find a kid, like three of your friends that were down at the park.
Yeah.
And like, just not.
Yeah, different.
We were out playing manhunt.
So, just some quick little meeting norms, and we can, if we can agree on these. These are typically what I use in every meeting that we have, just to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to use their voice. So one person speaks at a time. We'll do this conversation rounds of turn taking. Let's try to avoid any repetition, so if someone else shared something that you were gonna share, we don't have to reiterate, unless of course there's something you wanna emphasize. Past, if there's nothing new to add, let's just try to make sure that we have some equal airtime. Phones, I know it's hard to keep on vibrate because we have to make sure that our kids get picked up.
Sorry.
Oh my God.
We're gonna try to remain present, and we'll try to follow the protocols, and if we're having a hard time with it, then we'll come back together and organize about that. But today, things that I want to try to get accomplished, one, to gain an understanding of what the feedback said from some of our families. I do agree with Grace that, you know, even more of a sample size would be great, which we can work on even after today's meeting. Utilize community feedback to adopt a slogan. That's what I'd like to do today, or at the very least come close to one. And then I want us to start defining what our expectations of this work is going to mean moving forward. Meaning identifying an area to focus on rather than all of wellness, because that's a huge thing to chew. But maybe saying we're gonna focus our attention on either mental, physical, or social emotional going into next year. And then from one of those categories, what is it that we want to do with it? Will ultimately become part of the CEC district collaboration. Because what I know to be true is that more that we try to focus on, the less winds up getting accomplished. So we try to keep it very small so that we can get big, is really what I usually do with our building leaders in our district. Get small to get big. So identifying an area that we can agree on, that we'll focus on, that will help impact work inside of our schools. So having said that, if we can go through really quickly, just that space of what does the written pieces and what do the slogan favorites make you think individually. Catherine, if we can start with you and we'll go around, and I will take some notes.
Okay, so our two front runner, the two that got the highest votes were empowering minds, embracing wellness, fostering kindness, and then also stronger families, stronger schools, and healthier communities. I think the one that had healthier communities scored a little bit higher, right? That was a little,
Got it.
but for me, I think that underlying all the, like underlying what is a healthy community, yes, all the physical activity and all of that, but I'm leaning towards the one that has fostering kindness in there, because I think that that's really the thing we are needing the most of, right? The physical activity, you get a little bit of that like pent up, angst out, and it makes you a little more calm, a little more able to focus and connect with other people. So to me, I think that including the fostering kindness, and we did have a couple of slogans in there that had kindness with them that ranked high, I think also. So if we were gonna choose out of the top two that were polled, I would go with the one that had fostering kindness, because I think that is kind of what we all need a little bit more of.
That's great.
The first one is too long. Second one is what I would go with.
The healthy mind, stronger communities.
Yes, because the first one is too long. It's not gonna stick. I can't even remember it. I have to go back. The second one is short, simple, and to the point. My preference was, I believe, the fifth one. We can go back to the slide because I can't read on this paper.
Oh, yeah, that's
Strong,
right, yeah.
Strong roots, strong schools, strong spirits.
No, the one with 22.
Oh, the stronger family, stronger schools,
Yeah,
healthier
but
communities.
due to what we discussed in the last wellness meeting, that may end up creating some upset families. If I were to pick, I would go with the second. I think it defines everything, and based on the parent notes, it aligns with what I would want to see as a parent.
For me, the one that actually has the highest votes is the one that has stood out to me from the beginning. I know,
25?
yeah, I know that there was like, well, no, it's the sixth one that had 22 votes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's number 6 on here, it looks like. But I feel like it just mirrors a little bit of everything. I know there was some concern about controversy, things like that, but I just feel like it really is capturing a little bit of everything that we're trying to do all into one. So like getting the family stronger, getting the schools to be stronger, and then make the community as a whole healthy from that.
So the only thing that I would say, just really quickly, is just keep in mind our overarching vision for the district. Its lead-in is growing together as one community. So we do have a lead-in where we're talking about this idea of togetherness already inside of the vision statement. The way that I look at this is almost like these are going to be some of the branches that come off of our tree, this idea of wellness, and then this slogan kind of links into that in some way, shape, or form. And we're going to redesign the whole vision document after all this that is said and done.
But yeah, I think that's why I like that one.
Yeah, I agree with what Catherine had mentioned about this idea of being connected to kindness in some way, shape, or form. I feel like, and this is not a general statement because it's not true everywhere, but I do think that there are some spaces where the idea of being, being respectful, and valuing one another is not always at its highest, in its highest space, and it should be. And that connects to social emotional learning quite a bit as well. So I agree with that part of it. You know, maybe perhaps we can come to an agreement around where we can include that some way, shape or form too. But Robert, anything?
Yeah, I apologize, being a bit tardy, I will defer to my colleagues.
Alvin?
There wasn't mentioned, I myself personally, at the last meeting, I did really like healthy minds, strong communities and brighter futures. Simple, direct, to the point. I know that wellness can envelop a lot of things, but I think I find out that the second choice, straight to the point.
So I think the big question is, what do we really want to say to the community? What do we really want to say to our kids, to our schools about this idea of wellness? Is an important thing for us to kind of consider when adopting this, help us kind of guide the work moving forward. But Grace, I know that you've kind of been paying attention to what's been coming in and out of this survey anyway. Is there anything in particular that the results have made you think?
Yes, I got a few quotes of our parents that I would like to bring to the conversation, because I feel that feedback that they write in that column that they can say what additional thoughts. So, for example, I noticed that for them, teach and model kindness is crucial. Also, wellness begins at home for most of them. Mental health is the foundation of overall well-being, and healthy mind lead to better decision making. Also, physical, mental, and emotional health are all essential. So, at least for these 100 people that answered, these are like the most often comments about what should be in this law. So I think we should take him in consideration for the final result.
So I think we have to kind of try to blend in some way, shape or form. We have this first one here, and it's interesting. It happens to be the highest rated of all of them are this empowering minds, embracing wellness and fostering kindness. We heard, this committee talk about that being the area that kind of embodies what we were looking at. This healthy minds, stronger communities, brighter futures, and then this last one, which is stronger families, stronger schools, healthier communities. How can we, based on looking at those three particular elements, maybe let me blow this up a little bit, it's a little bit small. These three elements, the one with 22 votes, 18 and 19, how can we kind of merge those so that we have a really solid statement that embeds that last, those parts around. We did talk about family. I know that family came up a number of times. This idea of connecting to the district vision around strong has come up quite a bit, and the space around kindness has come up, quite a bit too. Even in some of the parent statements that you see written, that was included a number of times as well. So from these three, is there a way that we think we can merge them so that we can come up to some kind of consensus? Or, I can try to merge them and then we can come back together, but I'd like to, as much as we possibly can, try to land on something today. So that moving forward into, and even if there's if you have to do a special meeting for the budget conversation, that maybe we can add that as an agenda item so that we can get this ready for the start of next year. So that it becomes an ongoing process.
Yeah, I think a merge of them might keep it, like even if we do a merge of like. The first one and the one that has like most votes, like some kind of. Put together, but not make it too long, keep it still short and sweet, but like combine them in some way.
You mean taking elements of the two highest ones and kind of making a new slogan out of them, is that what you're?
Or the three. The
Or
three
even
that
the
are
highest.
three elements. We could remove family, stronger family, stronger school. Replace it with stronger community. Because it could be like stronger families, stronger schools, nurturing kinder. No, I'm saying
Yes.
remove stronger, instead of having stronger families and stronger schools. The stronger communities would represent both.
Both the families and
Yeah,
communities,
so
so it's
that
connected.
already makes it shorter, right?
Mhm.
So and then you have your healthier communities and you can add the kindness in there. So that it doesn't become too long. And it's not, you're not repeating the same thing.
But I feel that families are not the same because communities are big. Yes.
So we also don't want to use families because of the avoiding to upset. Families. It could be.
Yeah, there's been, some conversation I happened at the DLT where there was this idea that some might look at that as that, that's my time and space to do that with my children, that necessarily shouldn't, even though we're all, it's all embedded in part of it, but it's something that did come up at the DLT.
But taking that into account, if you replace it with stronger communities, it basically your family, school, district, all of that comes in that one word. Maybe it's not communities, it could be another word, but it includes you having 3 lines.
So what if that like stronger communities, fostering kindness, brighter futures, like a mix of like getting the strong family, strong schools into the stronger community part.
And healthier,
Fostering the kindness and then a brighter future for everyone as whole from that. Just an idea.
Can we just use the word like friendship? Like, is friendship, can we, does that somehow incorporate community and kindness and, what is the other one? I mean,
friendship,
it combines community and kindness, say friendship, I don't know.
leaves the families out.
I mean, yes and no, I guess.
But I feel that this bridge round was like the opportunity to have as the main words. So if we add additional words to be like, I don't know. So I feel that we could address the words that we have here, and if we need to add or change, fine.
To stick to what's on the screen.
Like the words.
Okay.
Yeah.
No adding, yes, or
Yes,
what,
I
because
agree with that.
Because they've already seen these words.
yes, so why we think of another thing?
That's why I was kind of pulling pieces of it.
Yeah.
So because if the first and the second,
I mean, we can keep it just simple, wellness, kindness, community. And because
Just words instead of.
Yeah, 'cause-
Yeah,
the stronger is already embedded in the overarching vision. It's already in the statement, strong schools, stronger schools. And then, from that, we're talking about these core beliefs around wellness, then wellness has to be defined, right? We gotta pick apart what wellness is gonna be. Kindness, what is that gonna mean in terms of kindness? And then community, what do we really mean by that as well? So that it's just those kind of key points that when we're talking about us here in District 25, we're talking about this idea of wellness, we're talking about this idea of kindness, we're talking about this idea of community within the overarching vision.
and-
What do we think about that?
I like that.
Yeah, I like that.
Wellness changes communities.
Right, because then it's less wordy, we don't have to worry about anyone getting confused about,
I
well,
would
what does this mean, that mean, the other thing mean?
Yeah, I
Right.
remember.
Right, wellness, right?
It's simple and yeah, we can use these words when we're doing something with wellness, where you're breaking it down into what is it that you mean. Yeah, I like that.
Wellness, kindness, community, that's.
Yeah,
that's-
wellness. Kindness. And community. Kind of like our district values that we'll play with that part of it. but District 25 values.
I like that. Be
Right.
simple and
Maybe we can come up with a cool little slogan that the kids can hold on to as well. That maybe they even become responsible for creating across the district. What is that?
yes, I
What is
think
that
that
gonna,
would be a
what is
very
that
good
gonna be like?
idea,
You
yeah.
know, how do we design and craft, and then it becomes part of, you know, who we are, an extension of the strong schools, theme, that the kids can then hold on to and create,
Maybe
take
some
ownership, and
choices.
take ownership
Yeah,
of.
I think it's good.
Okay.
So you're keeping the strong root, strong schools.
Yeah, that
Oh, I
whole
didn't
theme,
realize that.
yeah, that whole theme is,
Okay.
remains. I do think there's a lot of value in keeping things consistent.
Yeah,
But I think that also needs to be revisited a little bit too,
okay,
right? So this will be like one of the first parts of revisiting the overarching vision, but we're starting with the space of wellness, just because we identified that as being a really important starting place for the CEC collaboration. Does that make sense, everyone?
Yes.
We're good with that? So we'll go with wellness, kindness, community.
Yes.
And that kind of encompasses each of those elements in its own way. And then we will work together to define what we want to do within that. What I mentioned before everyone got here is that identifying one of those areas, whether it's wellness, kindness, and core community, that we're going to focus our attention on first, rather than all of them at the same time, because what I say to people all the time, too much brings too little in return. Because we're trying too many things, and then before you know it, did you do that? And then no one did anything other than say wellness, kindness, community, and all we know is the 3 words, instead of having an action to go along with it. So that we can define during our next meeting, whenever that's gonna be, to do like the special one
Yeah.
for the budget, which I know I'm sure you're gonna talk about at some point today. But I think that's a good starting place from, you know, we managed to come to a nice consensus, right? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. The little bit of homework, if I could give it, to you guys, I hate to give homework assignments as CEC parents with all the things that you do. But if we can begin thinking about even this idea of wellness, kindness, community, where would you see as a good starting place for us to work together on? And I want you to think about that through 2 goals that I'm going to share with you guys later today. One is around relationship building that we're going to be putting out there inside of our goals, again, inside of one of our CP goals, to promote this mutual rapport with our kids. Part of that's around use of mind up tools that I think we have to use more of. There are connection cards that just bring the kids together to have discussions with their peers that are not HMH related, that are not math related, that are not science or social studies related, that are just about connecting with a kid that is one of your peers on something that is just about what they think. What's your favorite this? What's your favorite that? Just to promote that opportunity to engage in discourse. So those are some things that we want to build in to create that idea of that mutual respect. So you'll see that a little bit later, but it might be something we want to connect into our work here. You know, how do we connect our work from here into one of the district goals? It might even change one of our goals because of it. And the other side of that is parents. So right now I'm a little bit stuck with where I want to go with our parent engagement goal going into next year. And it could be embedded in this space too. So I create that as an offer, an opportunity for you guys to share. Where do we want to go with those goals? Part of me thinks that, you know, making sure that we understand the progress of our kids is still an important one. I think we always have to get better at. But it can also be a space of working on creating a committee that's connected maybe to one of these things. That every school works on creating a committee that's either connected to wellness, kindness, or community. And they work towards that end. So those things I just ask you to think about, so that the next time that we meet, we come up with some ideas around where we might want to go next.
when is the next time we're gonna meet? We're gonna make a special meeting?
We're gonna have a special meeting for budget because it got delayed, that like end of year, but like we
Okay.
did last year.
Yeah,
So when we find out when that's gonna be, that's when we'll probably have the wellness meeting right before at the same time. to try to Coincide.
okay. Okay, can I just share one great idea that
Yeah, I love it. I love great ideas.
One
Great ideas
ninety-three.
are awesome.
No great ideas. Only mediocre.
I really thought that we started the year off right at 193 with a opening the year.
Yeah.
Like it was a barbecue slash picnic slash there was a
Celebration.
DJ. It was just they opened the year with a
Connection, some kind of
big party
connector.
in the courtyard. And it just got everybody together. You're finding out who's in whose classes. If your kid wasn't in the same class with their best friend from last year, they were still able to have a great time at this picnic together. I thought it was just the best way to start the year. So maybe the district should have like a giant District 25 pep rally. That they get like.
So what, it's interesting, so part of my feedback to all of our schools is to create an opportunity like that at the
It was
beginning.
great.
So,
First year we actually did it.
So,
At
whether it was from
199 every year.
193, we had another school did popsicles in the park.
Yeah.
Some had a carnival, I know that they did a carnival,
do-
but we
we
talked
do
about that.
We
already.
are coming up
No,
to.
The carnival,
189 has been doing this every year.
Yeah.
Every beginning of the year.
so there are schools that are doing it, but what we can decide upon as a collective group within this, in order to promote this idea of community, here's something we're asking that all schools do at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Right? And then it becomes a recommendation for all, and that's how we wind up building something that's a sustainable set of guidelines that we've
It
been able
also
to create.
makes the parents aware, if this becomes a norm, a new parent is sending their child somewhere and knows, oh, you know what, I'm gonna.
Well, they also know where in the world is that
Yes.
opening? I thought we were supposed to be having an orientation like that. Yeah, of
Yes,
course.
you know, they start asking.
It creates a
why do I
culture,
not have
a
this?
culture of expectation. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh, I don't know. Jesse, did you have anything to add?
Wanna give it-
Because I know we have to start the meeting in like 30 seconds.
I have a message from Jesse.
Okay, there you go.
Sorry. So he said that he's listening, actively listening, however, he's in transit, so he cannot, unmute. So he did want to share, he wants to thank everyone for your work on this collaboration. And he just wants, to also share for reflection for all, at the following meeting. Regarding your collaboration together, what are the lessons you are learning and how does your collaborative relationship work? Some examples, the process of negotiating and consensus building.
That goes along with our norms pretty good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, yeah, that concludes this, guys. Thank you for this. I think we're off to a good start. I think we're off to a good start.
So seeing that it's 7 o'clock, we're gonna jump right in.
All good.
We're gonna call the meeting to order. No, either of you want to do roll call?
Okay, sure.
Ismail,
Here.
Joseph, Grace, yes, Alvin,
Here.
Catherine,
Here.
Shirley, Eden,
Here.
Bob,
Present.
John,
Present.
Shirley. That's all.
Awesome, thank you. So if everyone could take a minute to look at the minutes. Okay, if everyone could just take a look at the minutes from last month. And see if there's anything you guys stand out, otherwise we can look to adopt the minutes. Anybody see anything standing out? Bob, you or anything?
I don't see the bylaws coming in. You're assigned something, no, last meeting, do the bylaws stuff. Right?
Maybe it's here in the business.
No,
Yeah, in the business meeting, we talked about it. It's on a separate page, business meeting.
Yes. You don't think that'll be there.
But I mean, first, wait, did you say that? What did you?
No, I
didn't.
didn't.
What? Sorry.
Anything, right? Okay, so we're just gonna, as everyone's in agreement, we will adopt minutes as they are.
Oh, okay.
We're not gonna go through a vote. Okay, so originally, next, we did have the middle school leadership group that was gonna come up and speak, but that changed. So I know that Beth Eaton is on to talk about the math curriculum in place of that, so we're gonna let Beth take it over from here.
Thanks, everybody. Okay, am I sharing screen? How does that work? Do you guys?
I can share for you, Beth.
Okay.
Ooh,
Echoes.
that's me. And it's still me. Why is that happening? Yeah,
Right now.
it's turned off.
Somebody back here.
Someone's at the mic on.
Is anybody else? Try it out. Nope. Is that one? It's not you. It is.
It's me. Oh,
That'll do.
We're good.
No, that was good.
We're good.
No, we're good.
It was not tonight.
It was me. Thank you. Look right at John, Mike. John's like, whatever, dude, I got, he's like, I'm off. Like, start looking at yourself.
Joe and Shirley speak momentarily. Okay. Okay, Beth, take it away.
All right, thanks, everybody. Thank you also for letting me go first. I appreciate that. So just wanted to come on and talk a little bit about our choice for the high quality instructional materials for mathematics. Big thank you to the parents on the CEC that were a part of this committee and helped us in making this decision. So thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Joe. And thank you, Wendy, who I know is no longer part of the CEC, but definitely appreciate her as well. So I'm going to talk us through just a little bit about the process that we went through. So we'll start with why we needed a new curriculum. Part of it was came from the initiative of New York City Solves. So similar to New York City Reads, New York City Public Schools has been thinking about how we can best support students, especially so that we can create students who are successful in the 21st century job market. And so they had the goal of really thinking about how we can help every student, ensure every student graduates on a pathway to that rewarding career and long-term economic security. And the importance of math in their ability to do such things, right? We know that math lives everywhere, and really just watched a great documentary around mathematics and how mathematics is needed to solve all the problems in the world. And if we want our kids to be problem solvers, then we need to support them in being problem thinkers, right? So the idea behind New York City Solves is that we would support our students in being able to really be problem solvers. And in order to do that, we also needed to choose a curriculum that aligns to the type of work that we want to see inside our classrooms, which are those discussions, making math discoverable, having kids make connections between big ideas. So it started with New York City Solves, which then you could go to the next slide, stem from that, excuse me, these math shifts. And the math shifts, we've seen them before, right? I've talked through them. I've been doing a series for parents around the math shifts, but really having kids start with that, beginning with sense making. And in order for that to happen, all of our kids need to be engaged in those shared low floor, high ceiling tasks, having really deep conversations around mathematics, feel that sense of belonging in the classroom with the teachers thinking really about using what the students' strengths are to drive the instruction. And again, that shift 5 around the shared high quality instructional materials is supposed to be the driver in helping us to get to those things. So for shift 5, we're moving away from our teachers having a mix of self-made curriculum materials or pulling curriculum materials from here, curriculum materials from there, because it's led to a lot of inconsistencies in what's happening in our math classrooms, and just helped to keep those gaps growing. So we're moving towards the shared high quality instructional materials, right? And the The real big excitement for me is that our teachers with this shared curriculum will be able to support one another and really think about ways that they can improve their own practice to really deepen their understandings about math, to really think about how they can best support the students. And because we have that shared curriculum, we can use the math tasks in there to really have these conversations. And from this, students then will experience that consistent and equitable instruction. And then aligned to all of this, right, we came up with our D25 vision for mathematics, which was a part of the work of the district-wide math team. So really thinking about what do we as a district believe in about mathematics and what do we want for our students. We've seen this before. Really the big takeaways are we want our students to have deep mathematical thinking, to really regularly engage in those real world problem solvings and have rich mathematical discussions with each other. And our schools really should be using data decision making to help drive the choices that they're making with their students, right? And as a result, that will lead to that 21st century, our students being proficient for 21st century career in college. So I'm going to go through just a little bit of the selection process. This was a 2-year process. It started in the 2023-24 school year. The district created a district, we called it the District Math Leadership Team. It was comprised of district leaders, school-based leaders, teachers, and parents, both from elementary and from middle school. And our goal was to ensure that on this team, we wanted to make sure all voices were heard and needs were represented. So that's why we had that mix of people there. We first started off analyzing data to think about what the strengths and needs are of our students. We realized that there were, while the majority, we have many students who do really well in mathematics, there is a large gap in student performance, especially amongst our Black and brown students, our multilingual learners, and our students with disabilities. And as we delved a little bit deeper into classrooms and schools, what was happening, we noticed that many would make modifications or revisions to their curriculum that didn't necessarily align with those math instructional shifts. And the other piece that we really wanted to think about was the greater reliance, as we move towards that greater reliance on technology, right? We know that state exams, whether we like it or not, are going to be taken on the computer. We needed our students to be engaged in doing some math on the computer. So we needed a curriculum that would incorporate that greater use of those digital tools. After looking at the data, you're going so fast. I can't talk that fast. I always get made fun of at home here that I talk too fast during these meetings. So we then created that vision for mathematics. We made a definition of what algebra readiness looked like because that's a big focus of our district. And then created some look-fors that could be used as we went into classroom visits to see the curriculum in action. And then we, during the first year, also spent some time just within the team looking at the different choices that would be available. Okay. So this current year, we spent a really considerable amount of time delving into the curriculums, looking to see how our students would engage with them, how our teachers engaged with them. So we first identified some pilot schools for each curriculum. We had 3 for Amplified Desmos, 164, 169, and MS 379. We had a couple that were already using illustrative mathematics. PS 32 and 214 were already using it, but then we also had PS 24 and junior high school 185 that jumped on board. And then we had one school that was piloting iReady math, and that was PSMS 200. And the Amplify and the iReady schools received coaching, in-school coaching from the vendors in addition to work that they were doing back at their school level. So those schools received coaching. Then from our pilot schools, the team itself delved a little bit deeper into the units, the lessons, and the activities. We had each curriculum come in and actually model a lesson for us, a 7th grade lesson from each curriculum around ratios and proportions. So we could see the similarities across the curriculum with that same lesson or the differences. Then I also wanted to engage even more teachers that were coming to my to our district math team. So I engaged all the teachers that were attending PL in portions of lessons with the curriculums. We had each of the curriculum vendors come and actually co-facilitate a professional learning session with us where we did one of their routines from their curriculum. Teachers experienced it. They saw it in a classroom with students that either myself or the vendors facilitated. And then the teachers actually had a chance to teach that routine with small groups of students and gave us some feedback around their thoughts on the curriculum. And a similar type approach was done with our other group that we had. We also conducted walkthroughs then to all the pilot schools. We had Catherine joined us on walkthroughs, Joe joined us on walkthroughs, Wendy joined us on walkthroughs to those pilot schools. We went on some in the fall and we visited again in the winter using that look for tool that we had created. And then in February, March, the principals, all our D25 principals had an opportunity to also visit each of the pilot schools, or excuse me, a pilot school from each of the curriculums and think about some feedback that they wanted to share as well. Additionally, our vendors also participated in each of the math nights, just so that all of our families, we could have more families engage with the curriculum, spend some time exploring some of the activities, and also walked around, got some feedback from families that way as well. So now for the reveal. If you don't know, we've chosen the Amplified Desmos Mathematics curriculum. There's a short little video that I pulled from the Amplified Desmos website that kind of will help us see really how kids feel as they're engaging in the curriculum. And I know while the students might be from other places, I have to tell you that as we were walking around, engaging in the walkthroughs, as I'm talking with students, even now as I hear some of the teachers trying out some of the lessons, the comments and the feelings shared by both the teachers and the students are very similar to what's being shared here. They just happen to have better people to put their video together than I could do. So we'll just share a little video so you can see a little bit about the curriculum.
Students were so eagerly engaged in a lesson, they wish it would end. With Amplified Desmos Math, we believe in math that motivates.
If I'm gonna use that every day for the rest of my life, then I need to get very good. I feel like it's just so fun because you're like you can talk about like math, kind of like this is so great. Yeah, I like sharing my ideas in math class. It seems like they come up with like really good ideas that I really want to share.
Seeing those aha moments, seeing kids share their. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
I use math for every day for the rest of my life, then I need to get very good at it. I feel like it's just like fun because then like you can talk about like math. It's kind of fun to see which one's right. Yeah, I like sharing my ideas in math class because sometimes they come up with like really good ideas that I really want to share.
Seeing those aha moments, seeing kids share their strategies with each other and then coming back and then not being afraid to share out.
Add the 7 to the 10, it'll equal 17.
I think when they find out that we're gonna do amplified Desmos math, they're very motivated. They're eager, they're excited to do it.
It sounds like very loud because everybody's talking with each other and helping each other. So get the answer.
What I've noticed is a huge shift of engagement because there's so much interaction. And so there's so much buy-in to continue on.
Math can be really hard sometimes, and when I get a problem right and I fix something, it makes me feel really good about myself.
The students are grappling together. There's noise, there's laughter. I think the talking has been one of the biggest changes.
So a notice, something you see, or a wonder, something you're thinking about or you want to know more about.
I am seeing the effect with how kids just feel in school. So I think there's just more of a confidence that the students are carrying themselves with.
It's been beautiful to watch from the outside, to see everybody grow together and to see that it really ends up benefiting the students in the end.
Oh, this might help us.
Our mission is for your students to learn math and to love learning math with Amplify Desmos Math.
So for real, every single day I come to school. My favorite subject in school is always math because I get better at math.
Okay, and so I just even modeled a lesson the other day at one of our schools, and honestly, the teachers who were observing, they were a little bit hesitant about it, and they were like, oh, our kids were so engaged and having so much conversations, and we're really excited about it. And while I know we saw in the video quite a few students engaged on the computer, not every lesson is computer-based, because I know sometimes that can be a concern that some of us have, but they enjoy the hands-on manipulatives, they enjoy having those conversations, they enjoy thinking really deeply about the math. And for the teachers, they found that it's really helped to deepen their own understanding, their own content knowledge of mathematics, and provides lots of supports. So just a little bit more about the curriculum. It does provide that structured approach to problem-based learning. So if we want our kids to really develop that deep conceptual understanding, it's going to start with that. Students will use manipulatives and again, explore different topics. And then as the lessons progress through the unit, continue to build that procedural fluency. So it will kind of move away from some of that heavy concepts to being more application, and they kind of explore the rules and they're applying those rules. So that's pretty much the design of the curriculum. You can move on. And then another reason for us choosing this curriculum over some of the others is that it really did have lots of math resources. It had the opportunity for kids to work on lessons via paper. And then there were also opportunities for kids to explore lessons digitally. And we found that even in our middle schools that are using it, that the engagement level has been much higher as kids are engaged in the digital-based lessons. There's practice problems. There's a bunch of different differentiation, a bunch of different lessons that teachers can use to differentiate learning also for students. We do have those diagnostic, formative, we're not going to use the diagnostic, the formative and the summative assessments that come along with it that teachers can use to check for understanding. And there is a whole website designated to just resources for families at home. Then we have, one of the nice things is that all of our kids will be engaged in grade level math. So with the Amplified Desmos, similar to the other curriculums we looked at, all of our kids are going to be engaged in those grade level math, the same task at the same time. So kids can all feel that sense of belonging. But within the curriculum, you'll see that there's different supports for teachers to use to help students engage in these grade level tasks, because we know even some of our students who are struggling, they still need additional support. So they have those different resources built in. think you can click. I think this might be animated, right? So we have differentiated tables. There's also a personalized, you can go to the next slide, the next one. There's a personalized boost learning, which is similar to the iReady, what do they call it? That MyPath lesson that they have, that they've been designing with that. And then there's also mini lessons there that teachers can use with students that still need even more additional support. And then within the Amplify Desmos curriculum, I just wanted to share with you here the resource hub for families. So the link is in the slides. If you wanted to take a look at it, you can take a look at that curriculum, some of the resources for families there. And just wanted to share finally just a few of our steps for rollout. So this spring, all middle school teachers that of mathematics will engage in a 2-day PL focused around unpacking the curriculum. Additionally, while elementary school has not been mandated for all of our schools, we do have schools that are already opting in those departmentalized grades. So I think we have about 11 schools that will be using in some capacity for grades 3 through 5. They will also engage in those 2 days of PL. Principals will engage in a in-person professional learning to help them unpack the curriculum a bit. There'll be a 2-day session on the New York City math shifts that we're asking school leaders and a teacher from all middle schools to attend. We would like in June for our teachers that are using to, excuse me, to pilot the curriculum, some lessons from the curriculum in June so that they can feel more prepared at the start of September. Then the district math team, which would be pretty much me, will go around and observe the lessons in June, right? Maybe I'll grab somebody from the literacy team to come join me as well. And then we're also going to participate in a research grant that will help us gather data from teachers in regards to implementation and some data from students to help us understand better how they are internalizing the math and how they feel about the curriculum and think about some next steps. And then during the summer, we have a 1-week training in July for all job embedded support providers. All of our middle schools will receive a coach at the school. So that's what that 1-week training is for, to support the coaches that will be supporting our middle schools in implementation. Our elementary schools will also receive a coach, but just not as a part of that New York City Solves initiative. Then we have a 3-day summer planning series that's going to be open to our teachers in grades 6 through 8 algebra to come and plan some lessons. We'll also spend some time in the summer creating a look for tool that can be used to help us monitor success as we're going into classrooms. And then also would like to have a virtual planning session in August for teachers in grades 3 through 8 to continue planning for the summer. Some resources there for you if you wanted to review the plan that we had created. That's the first link. If you wanted to review the plan, if you wanted to review the feedback that the members of the team and all of our teachers gave, you can click that second link. It links to all the feedback about from all the different curriculums. To learn more about the math shifts, there's a link there to the New York City Solves page. There's a link for the Amplify Desmos info page and their home page. So I think that's it for me. Any questions? I saw somebody put something in the chat. The new curriculum for all middle schools would be the Amplified Desmos Mathematics curriculum to be starting in the next school year, 25-26 school year. And also about 11 of our elementary schools will be using in some capacity, most likely all in grade 5. Those 11 would all be using in grade 5 and some also in grades 3 and 4 if they departmentalize.
Hi Beth, how are you? It's Catherine.
Hi, how you doing?
Doing good. I just really want to say how much work Beth put into this. She really put an enormous amount of time into and care into all the research that she did in trying to really figure out what was gonna be the best thing for our kids. She really, really is a superstar and we are lucky
Mm,
to have her.
Thank you.
But I have a question. Sorry.
Okay.
You said that there was the West Ed grant, is
Mhm.
gonna be collecting data on the kids.
Mhm.
Is that something that the parents need to give approval for? And is that gonna track our kids? Like what are gonna be the student identifiers?
It's just really gonna be, it's gonna be surveys. It's only gonna be for middle school students. They do have to opt into it, so they do need to get permission from families. And it's really just like, how do you feel in math class? How often do you feel like you have discussions? How do you feel you participate in math class? So it's really more about their feelings to uncover their identities and see how the curriculum and the teacher's implementation of the curriculum is impacting how students feel about themselves in mathematics.
Yeah, the idea of just the student part and the teacher part is for us to gather feedback, and we get to benefit through that space of research by learning more about perspective from, and honestly, the greatest part about connecting with kids is what they say. You know, they're gonna give you the goods. If they don't feel like they're engaged, they're gonna tell you. And you know, so anytime we can embed some of that opportunity is great, but at the same time, it's gonna be a parent's choice. If you don't feel like having your kid participate, then there will be documentation that goes out to all families about that when the time comes.
But just so I understand, so it is more a collection on their opinion of the new program
yeah.
than it is about their performance.
No, it's not
and
about their
their
performance at all.
achievement. Okay.
Yeah, no, this is more about, as Beth said, you know, the talk opportunities, that they have a greater understanding of the math now by engaging in this work in this way. So it's all more qualitative than it is anything where they're looking at quantitative performance of kids.
Okay,
Yeah.
good to know, okay.
That's a good question.
I have a question. So since this is going into effect for next year, how does that tie into the state tests? Is there collaboration to make sure that what the kids see in the state test and what they've been doing is in line with this new program? Because
Yeah, so this program very much like, and Beth certainly add more if you feel necessary, but this program very much like illustrative mathematics, which is a program that is being used for New York City Solids in many schools. But what we liked about Amplify were the additional resources that were present for both teacher and family, all aligned with standard expectations that are a part of what the kid would see on a New York State assessment. It's all standards aligned. It's all aligned with the expectations that our children would meet by the end of the year. The difference really more than anything else for us, the reason why we're going into this space is unlike what we now see in HMH, where every school can communicate about Unit 1, it's much more difficult to do that right now because School A is not using a similar program to School B. So engaging in that collaborative approach is not necessarily as feasible
this is
as
for District 25.
District 25.
So no, 19 does either.
Yeah. Every district has an opportunity to engage in this type of conversation amongst the programs that are accessible. Amplify being one of them, IM being the other, and iReady the third, which is why we went through that process of engagement across the district. This was truly a collaborative effort. There was none of me saying, this is the stamp and this is what we're going to do. It was based on hearing what folks had to say. And the opportunities, and I echo what Beth just said, what Catherine just said about Beth. I mean, she really, went the extra mile for all of this, making sure as many people as possible were able to see this program, give their feedback on the program, and then help make a choice around what's best for the kids here in District 25. And seeing it implemented, you can see the benefits of it. And like most programs, it's not just about the program, right? It's always about how we implement whatever it is that's in front of us. Whether that be Amplify, whether that be iReady or illustrative mathematics, it's all about how we prepare folks to teach using those tools. Which is why inside of that layout, you see the training opportunities that are going to be available between now and the end of the year. My goal was, let's have that selection done by as soon as we possibly can. and then get folks opportunity to receive training from the developers themselves. Here's the actual work. Here, let's unpack our units of study so that when we hit the road in September, it's not going to be new to anyone. And that to me is why we're in the space that we're at, where we can have these discussions about training that are going to start in May, beginning to execute lessons in June, so that by the time we're in September, we're in a much better place, largely in our middle schools. This is not going to be everywhere in our elementary. It's all based on elementary programming and what it is that our schools intend to do there. The schools that are adopting it, they're adopting it because they can, because they have grade 5 that's already in a departmentalized space. We are still going into year 3 of HMH implementation. And for me, I want to make sure that we get really good at that implementation. And then we can start layering in another program once we feel like we're really good in that space. Departmentalized grades, their focus is mathematics. It's much different for them. They're not having to unpack and deliver HMH at the same time as Amplify. So that was why that decision was made like that. But that's both good questions.
Any other council members have a question?
There will be coaching, right? Coaches that come from Amplify to the school,
Correct.
that like they'll be like providing more support to the teachers as they
In-classroom
learn
support,
this. Yeah.
I think Venus had a question in the chat. Beth, I don't know if you see Venus's questions that were in the chat, if you want to address any of that.
Yes, so I was just actually putting in the chat a link to the document that I shared in the slides where she can get some of the feedback or see the feedback that we kind of captured from our all the work that we did. It compiles feedback from teachers, from the team, from our admin. So you can take a look at that. And as far as New York City Solves, a deep dive. So I will have a session at the end of this month on May 28th. That's going to be on high quality instructional materials. And I'm really going to kind of walk parents through the curriculum a little bit more. So if you'd like to join that session, you're more than welcome to join that. That will be virtual May 28th at 7 o'clock. And let me see if there's any other questions. I see you also have your hand up for something else. Go ahead.
No, I was raising my hand to ask the CEC if I could ask my question verbally instead of typing in the chat. Is that okay, Madam President?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm a parent and community leader, so I'm not asking for myself. My son proudly graduated from Bayside High School last June. He is 17, well, he's 18 now, and he attended his first semester of college. I'm asking for the general public and for parent empowerment to get a deep dive into what math looks like in District 25, and specifically, this is a new assessment tool that you're sharing. So I've missed many meetings, so I don't know if you've discussed like when this was brainstormed with the CEC and that they decided that this would be supplemental or replacing iReady at the middle school level. I understand mostly at the middle school level, but are you continuing with also all schools, but specifically elementary schools are continuing with the Envisions curriculum textbooks, and then the middle schools use Envisions as well, or Go Math, and then this is like a assessment tool or a supplemental supportive remediation tool. So I'm trying to understand like how it ties in with New York Solves and what districts choose for their math curriculum, because I heard in District 27 about shifting from Envisions, I believe. So I'm asking for clarity, not for myself, but for parents, especially elementary school parents, so that they can support their students' success in math, and that it's extremely transparent in the entire district and all stakeholders understanding what math looks like and how it's going to impact the numbers and the growth in math data as a district. And I know I spoke so fast. Thank you so much.
Venus, just really quick, just so you're aware, we had members of the CEC that were on the team with Beth going to do the site visits and helping give feedback on those lessons. So just from the CEC perspective, we did have collaboration there. I think that's
so Venus, just to make sure, because you might have joined right in the middle of that presentation. So Amplify is a curriculum. It has assessments embedded in it, but it's not overtaking or overshadowing the diagnostic assessment tools that we use already. So it's not a replacement for iReady. It's something that's going to now become the curriculum of choice for mathematics here in District 25, particularly starting in grades 6 through 8. The schools that have departmentalized elementary school grades also have the option to work through that program. But for us, the primary focus is grades 6 through 8 mathematics. I can't really speak to what other districts did in terms of how they organize around this. But Beth created a district-wide team, connected with classroom visits, outreach, surveys, you name it. Beth organized it so that we can get a great deal of clarity and feedback, which resulted in then all building leaders engaging in conversation to eventually land on this program of choice.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mike. Was this to improve math scores, or to what was the inspiration behind the shift from, I'm guessing, envisioned, right, to this, because it has better results, or your district needed something more, or certain points, there were certain gaps that needed to be addressed, any other curriculums weren't doing it? Like, what made you shift?
So there are many reasons, Venus. You know, one of them is that we didn't necessarily have a shared math curriculum across all of our schools, particularly in the middle school. Elementary school was more evident with Envisions in the vast majority of our elementary, but our middle schools were using a varied approach, which limited collaboration across schools to make really good choices for our kids. So this is always about how do we help support teachers, but also how do we, through that support, make sure that we're improving outcomes. So there's always multiple reasons for decisions, but that's in general what the purpose of it is.
Perfect, thank you.
You know I love you. Happy New Year.
Okay, there's no questions from anyone here. So we can thank you, Beth. We will move on to Dr. Mike's report for this week.
Thank you, Beth.
Thanks. Have a good night, everybody.
Hey, Beth.
Thank you. Yeah, Beth has really done an amazing job, and you know, it's something that is a ton of work, and the amount of sessions that she's put in are just, you know, incredible. And there's no, you know, Beth, can you? It's all right here. Let me show you what I've already organized so that we can help our schools. And that's like an ongoing process. That's like every day. And I'm blessed because that's not only just what happens in math, that's what happens in pretty much every area that we work with. I'm blessed to have an amazing team. But just to go through my report, this is AAPI month, celebrating our Asian Pacific Islanders. This is an opportunity for all of our schools to engage in some culture work to make sure that we are celebrating this particular community during this time. It is also Jewish American Heritage Month, time to celebrate contributions and experiences of Jewish Americans throughout our nation's history. One that we didn't mention last month was Arab American Heritage Month as well. Was not included in our last month's session, but I did want to mention it at this time too. Enrollment timelines, you guys know, next week, Tuesday, May 3rd, pre-K offers will be released, and Tuesday, May 20th, pre-K offers will be released. Diagnostic and state assessment window. We've come and gone through the ELA testing period. We are now in New York State math testing period from May 6th through the 16th, grades 4, 5, 6, and 8. Computer-based testing between that window. May 7th and 8th, locally based decisions around paper-based for grades 3 and 7. NYSESLAT speaking assessment is ongoing from April 14th, I didn't put in the May, I'm sorry, through May 23rd, and then listening, reading, and writing, May 12th through the 23rd. Science computer-based testing, May 13th through the 16th, grades 5 and 8. And then end year reading and mathematics diagnostics, whether that's through iReady or Acadience, is happening now through June 13th. Our schools are spacing this out as much as they can so that, you know, we know that there's a lot going on this time of the year just in general. But needless to say, our kids are going to be engaging in these assessments. I will, depending on what time we're able to do that additional meeting time, if possible, I will have an update on where we are according to our goals with end-year diagnostic assessments. This I shared at DLT, I shared it at President's Council, I've shared it at the DPAC meeting, but I think it's so important just to kind of emphasize here. I didn't get a chance to share this here last month, but we did have our opening for our bocce league. We have 6 middle schools in District 25 that participate in this. This is with our general education population, with our non-neurotypical students as well, where they engage in sport, promoting this idea of kindness, as we mentioned earlier, and inclusivity. These are some of the best events that we have and offer. You just see kids getting together and those relationships just blossoming. It's really, really a lot of fun. So the schools 25, 250, 185, 194, 219, and the newest member this year is 379. We're looking to continue to expand that across our district schools to support that space of inclusivity. We had our Cheer Expo in April. Schools from across our district engaged in this work. Really a great day. Big thanks to our schools, coaches, district team members. This is the next few slides are all Diana and the work that she has done to promote athletics here in District 25, which I think is just amazing work. I think we're trying to create an opportunity for all of our kids to experience a variety of different things. And this is just one example of it. We had our elementary all-star game on the 9th and the 11th of April. They did do a halftime show, and I wish I could say that I was proud of myself. After 1 minute of shooting, I could not breathe. I tried to hide the fact that I could not breathe after 1 minute, but it was not working all that well. But I did hit a couple of three-pointers. I hit almost all of my layups, and I hit a couple of free throws.
Very excited to be out there.
And just to put this on the record, I did beat the coach at PS 79 in my round. Just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there. I did win that my share. Yeah, thank you, Venus. Yes, it was my height. Maybe a little bit of pretend basketball skills, because it's not really. We had also the first ever middle school girls basketball league as well, which we piloted this year with 194, 25, and 185. Again, big thanks to the coaches and Diana for this work. It's really just amazing. Say again? Did I say Bell?
And Bell.
Oh, and Bell, yeah, and 294, excuse me. So this was really, really awesome work. Youth leadership team. This is just an update on their work. So every month I've mentioned to you that the youth leadership team gets together and they talk about district-wide improvements. They've also connected around this idea of relationship building and wellness and creating this respectful environment. So as part of their work, they really wanted to push for student councils from across our district schools to be able to get together and engage in an assembly, but with some motivational speakers around what does that look like? How do we promote this idea of team, this idea of respect, this idea of wellness? So between Melinda, Wing, our social worker, Diana, connected with Adelphi University. So kids from across the district, about 120 or so, will be taking coach buses from here to Adelphi, where they're going to meet with a former Boston Red Sox, a New England Patriot, former New England Patriot, basketball players, volleyball players from Adelphi University. Their dance and theater program members will be coming to speak to them, all to talk about this space of SEL, respect, building out what is this going to mean for them. So the goal is after they go to this, they're going to be charged with as a student council. How do we do about that? What do we do with that information to promote this idea across our schools? So I'm really, really excited about this. You know, this came from the kids. Initially, it was going to be a specific group that was going to come in and do an assembly, and this is what it became. It became something a lot bigger and larger than what I would have even anticipated. But I'm really excited for the kids. I'm really excited for the team that put this together because it's going to be a really great experience for our kids. My whole goal for all of these things is that we promote student voice and that they start taking ownership over the schools that within which they are going. And in order to do that, we have to give them opportunity to see what's possible. And you don't get any better around how to deal with the space of a team than hearing from those that did it at the highest levels to share their perspectives and what it takes to do things well as a collective community. So really excited about this. You'll hear more about that coming soon. And if anyone wants to go as a chaperone to go in and land as part of a CEC member, if you want to tag along, just let me know and we can probably find some space on one of the buses for you to join and listen in on what the kids are going to experience. So just give me a shout and we will add you as part of the process. District arts funding. We were given a little bit of money at the district to do some arts work, which I'm really excited about. With this money, I was able to collaborate with Studio in a School, Arts Connection, Flushing Town Hall, and a couple of Broadway show vendors. What I did try to do is make connections as much as possible with AAPI month within the context of what these particular organizations offered. So we do have Studio in a School doing a community arts day at PS20. We have Chinese dance and musical assemblies that are happening in a variety of schools. 214, 154, oh my goodness, I'm leaving 22, 21. There are a number of schools, 29, that are all going to be receiving these types of opportunities. 201, excuse me, I left one out. They're going to be getting either Mexican dance assemblies, Colombian dance, Chinese juggling, West African dance and drumming, a China patterns dance assembly, and then we have multiple Broadway shows. So we have Betty Boop, Operation Mincemeat, and Buena Vista Social Club, all really great shows as I understand it. I personally have not seen any of them, but students from across our district schools have been given an opportunity to let me know that they're interested. We've gotten buses for all of the kids in these buildings. And we did have Lewis go right on the Zoom. We put all of the schools into a little spinning wheel. And then we had 5 schools that got identified for each of these shows. And then lastly, I was able to purchase 150 tickets for Aladdin. And I tied this into an attendance type of process with kids that are in that 90 to 100% attendance rates in identified schools. Will be able to go to the show with one of their parents. So student and a parent will be able to go, and along with a couple of district members, just to show some district representation, and a couple of members from each school to have some school representation with the amount of money that I had to spend, which was around $75,000.
I don't mind if I'm running for that. Don't. Absolutely, like count me in.
So what I will say is you might want to touch base with Dr. Bradley, because he is one of the schools that was selected for one of the other shows, not 11, but was selected for one of the other shows. I'm not sure which one though. I can't remember off the top of my head. I should have probably just written it down. But at any rate, we were able to do a number of really positive things. Should these dollars come available again next year, and I have a longer turnaround time, that's something that I will be able to engage with you guys in. The turnaround time for this was rather quick. So I needed to be able to get the orders out there and get as many things as possible for our kids as I could. And I'm pretty happy that I was able to spend pretty much every dollar of that $75,000 for our students in the district. So really excited about this. This does lead to other questions that I'm going to engage you guys in as we close this year, but move into next, is around the arts. I think we do a lot of great things in our schools, but we don't celebrate it the way that we should. And I want to build more time and opportunity into that as a district community. We have Disney Junior, all these types of things. Kids do amazing things in our schools, but then it just stays there. We don't necessarily celebrate it outside of those spaces. So more to come on that with all of you guys. Teacher recruitment fair. This connects to the class size conversation we had last month. We had hundreds of folks, hundreds of candidates come to 169 in Bell Academy for a recruitment fair. Every school that needs staff going into next year was present. They were able to gather resumes. They were able to start connecting in small ways with some of these candidates, set up demo lessons, and so that we're prepared and ready to go come September with the number of hirees that we need to make. I thank all of our building leaders, our volunteers. We had folks from across the district that just said, you know what, I'll be here to make sure that we can support crowd control. We had our UFT partners there. Thank you to Lamar. I know he's on. We had, folks from payroll and benefits all there, just so that anyone who wasn't sure what it meant for them, it was a kind of a one-stop shop for them. And also Allison Bedoni from our district team. She supports HR. Big thanks to her because she helped us get this all underway, and always our district team. every one of our district team members managed to take part in this in some way, shape, or form. So I thank them for that. And it's going to most definitely help us with being prepared for September. Okay. Setting the stage for CEP. I talked to you about this last time. Timeline is here just to reiterate it with you guys. All schools should be engaging this. So as SLT members, part of your conversation right now should be around goal setting for next school year, winding down the year, progress monitoring as kids are taking these final assessments, how we performed, what does it mean in terms of goal setting for next year. We are also in the process of that at the district level, awaiting what our end year data looks like so that we can make even more adjustments to what we've already established. Talked to you last month about reasons why our English language learners will be of importance. We have 6,700 Ls in the district. It is a group that we do need to continue to work on and build through. We're not going to be fraying too far from where we were this year in terms of growth. My expectation is that we deepen the work, not necessarily add another layer to it. We have to get better at what we're doing with HMH and delivering explicit instruction with the resources that we have present. So that is going to be my intentional focus with our schools, as well as standalone instructional time. Groups that wind up getting English language support are any children that are entering, emerging, transitioning, or expanding. They receive X number of periods of service. Expanding receive 4, transitioning receive 4, entering, emerging receive 8 periods each. When you are entering and emerging, within those 8 periods, you get 4 periods of what they call standalone instruction, so that kids are receiving language development support during those periods. What I notice and recognize is that those are periods that we have to become even more strategic in, so that we're accelerating opportunities for our Ls, especially those when they get beyond kindergarten, 1st, 2nd grade. We do a really good job of testing children out in those early childhood grades, but when they start getting older, I mentioned this to you before, it gets harder and harder to build the English language. So my goal is to use that time really, really strategically so that we help kids accelerate as much as we possibly can, so that they're ready to go by the time they get into high school. So that's what our first priority is. Priority 2, really getting strategic around Mind Up. They have spaces in terms of mind up moments and conversation starters that have not necessarily been as used as much as they need to promote student-to-student relationships. This is what I mentioned to you guys earlier, and perhaps we can add in that space around that collaboration around kindness, what that can mean for us as a community embedded in this goal. So I asked you to think about it. That was the homework that I kind of gave you guys earlier, to lean in and think about this particular goal. How might we want to integrate that? So that if it's not in the goal, it can become part of the action plan, one or the other. Priority 3 is around mathematics, implementation of our curriculum, but specifically around the instructional shifts in math, i.e. what it is that you just saw Beth speak about, particularly around sense making. That we're really promoting this idea of sense making for our kids, and that they're as ready as possible for the mathematics that's in front of them. Goal always to reduce gaps that we have inside of our performance across subgroups. This goal I'm excited about, and I think for you guys, I think you've seen some of that excitement as we've had kids come here and share their soapbox speeches, but I wanted to add this into one of our goals so that we're really promoting this space of action for our kids. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, but if we get our kids through delivering a soapbox speech and an action project, they will earn 1 point to the seal for civic readiness from New York State, which puts them in a leg up going into high schools that allow them to receive that certificate of civic readiness by the time they leave high school. So for me, if we're going to really promote student voice, let's base it on what the expectations are from the state to promote this idea of earning a seal for civic readiness as a student. So the goal for all of our 8th graders to engage in this work where they're engaging in a soapbox speech and an action project. That's what the ultimate goal is by the 8th grade. Kids grades 3 and up will also be participating, but they earn that seal when they get into the 8th grade. Okay. I also have a question here for you guys and love to go around the table if we could at some point. Perspectives on adding a goal around Save for College. Save for College, as you guys know, puts $100 in every student's in a savings account for every student in kindergarten through 3rd grade, for those that haven't activated their account. Right now in district, I think we have less than 30% of families take advantage of that. And to me, it's money. It's money that's free that continues to accrue over time. And it's not to say that there's going to be thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars, but by the time they reach their high school age, getting ready for college or career, there'll be funds in there that they can tap into as kids. So we do often talk about this. We do often have the Save for College folks at our events to share and talk about it with families, but we do not have a great turnout. So the wondering for you guys is, do we want to add this as a goal for our district community to really bolster that and have more people take advantage? Might be that some just don't really know and they're not aware. I know some do have reservations just in general about those things, and that's certainly fine. But I think it's available. It's offered for our folks to try to do better than just 30%. I think would be a good thing for some of our families that maybe perhaps not taking advantage of. Yeah.
So after the initial $100 or whatever that they put in, is it expected that like parents are contributing more towards it?
Parents
They put
can,
in, or is it gonna grow? Like what happens with that?
So if PTA wanted to actually do a fundraiser and say that the fundraiser proceeds go into accounts from across, you could do that legitimately as parents, and you can help children's accounts accrue just by the fundraisers that you wind up doing anyway, and you can set aside and say this is where that's going to go. That we can invite, if you want, the Save for College folks to come here to one of your meetings if you like, so they can explain the whole thing.
I know they come to like some of our events.
To the events, yeah.
I think the events more, I guess I think we should definitely add this to whatever we can, because this is one of those things where people that probably need it less use it more, right?
Yeah.
Because they already are investing and they know the importance of it, right? And I think the need needs to be disseminated to as many people as they can, and have it in small groups so that somebody can explain to everybody
what it is,
but also the logistics of it, how you could do it if you I guess that's what I'm thinking of, but like, how to do it,
Yeah.
How to set it up, how to, what like walk them through the step by step, almost like, like we do for the already stuff, like just literally, it's a one-time thing, right? Unfortunately.
Yes,
So
and
every year,
it will continue.
$100 every year.
It will continue to accrue.
Right,
over time,
but
which
I'm
is
saying
nice.
we have to do something.
Just the once,
right?
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I think the more people the more widely can be disseminated, the better.
Yeah, because I mean, millions of dollars across the city have already been allocated in these accounts for kids across New York City. And listen, it's a nice starter. But anyone have any thoughts? Do you think that this is a good idea to include as a goal?
This is the first time I'm hearing about this, so yeah, it should definitely be out there more.
30% is crazy.
Yeah.
That's what I was pretty
Giving
important.
away
Well, you're probably not in the age group for it, so you wouldn't have gotten.
Yeah, it only started a few years ago here in district. I want to say it's 4 years now.
Yeah, I
So,
want somebody.
but it started with kindergarten. It started with kindergarten.
So it's kindergarten through what?
Through 3.
But it's just once, but it's not.
Yeah.
Every year, it's something.
Right.
But it's basically to set up the account so then the parents can contribute and whatever and
Yeah,
it compounds.
it's a
invested
start,
and-
right?
Yeah.
It's a start. If
It's a
I'd
start.
known it, I would have done it way earlier.
Yep.
I didn't know it was there. It just pushes people to actually save for their
Right.
kids.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll just put consider for a goal, something I'll craft and bring to the DLT. Oh, sure. Yeah, I don't think that there's a differentiator there, Venus. I think any of our kids in our public schools have access to. So it's for all of our families. It's an opportunity that, and maybe perhaps sometimes Venus, it's what prevents people from sharing out of concern about that. But It's available for our district families here in kids kindergarten through third grade. And so I'll put a note, this will be something I'll bring back to the DLT for conversation about goal setting and creating another goal. Say again?
We'll chat Monday.
Yes, we'll chat Monday. Right. We'll chat Monday. And this one was our parent engagement goal. This one, you know, we've kind of talked about this year. Our schools are doing a great job with parent chats. They're happening in our buildings. Our schools are doing way more family engagement events with First Fridays, Welcoming Wednesdays, open houses. Those are happening pretty much in every single one of our schools here in the district. The question is, do we want to really make this goal something that we're organizing around this wellness theme that we're talking about? And I ask you guys if you could reflect on that. This was the other goal that I mentioned prior to our meeting started, that I'd love for you guys to reflect on and give me some feedback around. You know, I kept this one kind of the same as where we were, knowing that it was going to change with everyone's thoughts. Because I would love to do something where it's all connected rather than having all these other buckets of stuff that we're trying to keep them all aligned. So whenever we wind up landing, whether it's in the space of growing community, if it's around that space of kindness or wellness, which one do we want to land on and how do we grow through it? So it's right in our goals. Once it's in our goals, schools then start thinking about it. That's what the great part about our district goals is, that our schools then really look at them as a kind of a lighthouse for what they're going to be doing in their own buildings. So at any rate, feedback on this would be terrific. And then lastly, our age-old chronic absenteeism goal. We are still among the highest attendance rates in New York City. We're the second highest attendance rate in New York City. We are the third lowest chronic absenteeism rate in the city by 0.1, which is driving me crazy. That's the 0.1, but 0.1 nonetheless. You know, and I think you guys know this a little bit about me at this point. I don't like to be other numbers. I just don't. It bothers me to be any other number. But we do have a lot more work to do when it comes to chronic absenteeism. 18% is still incredibly high. Our early childhood grades are still the ones that are the most significantly high. In kindergarten, pre-K is always a problem, and we know the reasons why some of those things happen. You know, our little ones tend to wind up getting sick more. You know, the germ things always happen. We know that, but we want to continue to emphasize it. So our building will, at the beginning of the year, have outreach, direct outreach to all families for kids that are chronically out. What supports do you need? Is there anything that's been happening? Has your child been getting sick over time that we can help you with? And we'll do the best that we can to support and put our best foot forward, because what I do see is that there becomes a pattern for some where when that attendance rate starts in kindergarten, it does wind up translating for many of them over time. And for some kids, it becomes a year's worth of absences over the course of their K-8 career. And that we have to try to minimize as much as we possibly can. So this will be another goal. We're going to continue to work on it.
It's like skipping a grade.
Almost, yeah.
If school and the teachers have a note, a doctor's note, an explanation from the parent, do they still have to get that letter that says that, you know, your child has been absent this many days and academic this and that is gonna happen? Like,
So I
if
think,
there's a real.
I think it's a good thing for each school team to really talk about what that's going to look like and get feedback. I think there are times that that it's truly unaware. Like, oh my God, how many days has my child been out? That happens a lot. So there's a balance between folks that are like, listen, I know. Mike had the flu back-to-back weeks. What do you want me to do?
Right.
Right?
Right.
So there are
and
those.
in that case, it's like aggravating to get the letter. It's like, what do you want me to do?
And I think those are the types of things that, as parent leaders, you know, we bring and engage in those conversations at the school level.
Okay.
So that we can have a discussion around what can that look like. Because the schools want to make sure that they're engaging in the outreach to everyone. They don't want anyone to be missed in that space. So I think it's important that that folks are part of that conversation, so that they know it's a layer of support, not a layer of how dare you, right? That's really what the goal, my goal is. It's through a layer of support. I can't tell you how many folks like, I didn't realize that my child was out 8-9 days come November. Why? Because it was one Monday and then a Wednesday. And then a couple of weeks later, it was another Monday and a Friday. And then before you know it, those days, but there hasn't been this clock going off in one's mind, you don't even realize it. And then you go through the entire year and you've missed an extremely low amount of time.
So I got one of those letters. 5 days. Said my daughter's at risk. 5 days over the whole school year, she's at risk. I mean, she had, I was excited to get it.
Yeah,
It's
listen.
getting me a little mad.
I think that is a great space for conversation at the SLT, certainly a great space for us even at the DLT, to have that discussion around what does that look like, you know, for families. And it's also about knowing your families, right? You know, knowing what it is that is going on within a household. I'm going to share this with you. I just want you to know it's part of what we're sharing. Is everything okay? Is there anything that you need? Was it just that she had the flu? And those are the parts of the conversation that are most important. But I also know that the letters can be a little bit, right? How do we craft them? What's a better way to craft them so that a parent knows that I'm doing this just to make sure that there is this layer of awareness for everyone to go by? Because when we lose that, what we also tend to do is see those numbers continue to creep up because it wasn't, well, you didn't tell me. That's the other side of it that we then receive.
Right.
Well, you didn't tell me I was out that many days. Why didn't you tell me? Right? So it's finding a balance between that sharing of it when we know that you know, and those that maybe perhaps do not.
Yeah.
But I do think that the communication of that is important. It's perhaps how we communicate that might need to shift, not so much the communication. Follow what I mean by that? Because I hear you and I get it. But at the same time, what can that look like to make it something where it's not like one of those, what are you doing to me? I know, but my kid's got a flu.
She
Right.
was fine over the course of the whole school year, missing 5 days. Like, do I wish she could have been all of those days? Yes, but it's 5 days. She's not at risk of failing.
So I think at times what it is also when that happens. So if you've missed 5 days in the first 15 of the school year, the awareness that if the trend continues, technically speaking, child is at risk to be chronically out for the remainder of the year. If a child is out 2 days a month throughout the year, they would be deemed a student that is chronically out. 2 days a month equates to 18 days, 10% of the school year. So if a child is out that many days in the beginning of the year, even though it is the flu, or perhaps it was COVID, or perhaps it was something else. If it happens that early, it does become that child will remain in that at-risk zone until 3 or 4 months passes, where they are no longer a child that's chronically out. If they're out 5, and then another couple, and then another couple, before you know it, the child's missed so many days that, you know, catching up becomes hard. That's ultimately what we're trying to prevent, is kids from catching up, from losing out and catching up.
To it was weird. It's like the letter came home. I didn't see it at first, but I went through a folder and then she's like, "Well, I got some letter," and then I opened it. I saw what it was, and obviously my kids are out when they're legit needing to be. So of course she panicked, the little one, and goes, "I'm at risk. What does that mean, mommy? What does that mean?" I literally had to like bring her to the teacher and say, "Can you explain to her she's okay? Like her grades are okay." And the principal even said, "You're fine. Don't worry." Because we have to send a letter because you have had those absence, but we know that you've had legit absence. But it was more that she was even more worried than I was.
Yeah.
And a child to see that, they were like, "I got such a drastic letter." Like, I don't want to like not tell them, "Hey, like the absence is like coming up. Like we have to make sure we're careful about that." It's like I have that conversation with them, but it's like she's more worried about than I was.
I think it could be about how do we revisit the the language of the communication. I know that our schools have tried to do a really good job of messaging, but if in the message is still not hitting home the way that we want, then we work on adjusting the messages. Because I do think that the messaging is important to keep everyone aware. You know, I think the hard becomes when you know that you're trying your best as a parent, and there are things that you just can't help. You can't help when a child gets sick. And you'll always hear me say, I don't think anyone should send their child when they're not well enough to be there. And I think more than anything else in regards to this is when kids are able, we need to make sure that they're there. And there are a lot of times, unfortunately, when kids are taking days when they shouldn't be home. You know, so finding that space of layers of support with what do we do when we know that a child has been ill for X number of days.
Did you say that Aladdin was for 90% attendance rate for kids who had 90
to 100.
I mean, that's a great.
Yeah.
That's great.
91. So it was to celebrate children that have done a really great job of being in school, but also recognize kids that were just falling outside of that space, that they have a chance to hustle themselves back up over the last month of the school year to get a chance to go. So those will also be put in the spinning wheel.
Yeah.
And then we will pull them out of the hat. But yeah, that was kind of the goal. You know, you get the number of tickets we were able to get. Like, how do we make sure that how do you even choose amongst people? You want to give a chance to everyone, but the number of tickets you have is just so limited that it's only so many you can do it for. So, but yeah, that was the goal. And, you know, it wasn't to incentivize kids that have been out 70% of the school year. You know, it was to kind of connect with children that have really done a great job of being in school every day.
It's good. It's aspirational.
Yeah.
But that concludes my report, unless there are other questions that you guys have. But I think this one was a good, important conversation to have in terms of connecting with our schools about messaging.
Anybody else?
Yeah, those are questions. Thank you, guys.
So before I go into president's report, I'm gonna actually go to public speaking. Was there anyone in the chat that wanted to speak?
When I put the message now, and then the questions appeared after.
Okay. Oh, Venus has her hand up. Go ahead, Venus.
Ooh, I love this new adjustment. I think I've shared that District 25 was the first district that I visited outside of my district where I live. So I live in District 28. My name is Venus. Good evening, everyone. I'm a parent, leader, and education activist here in New York City and in Queens, born and raised in District 25. And I didn't realize that until years after I had been already attending CECs in District 25, because growing up, things weren't divided by district. You just knew the neighborhood you grew up in. You didn't know, oh, well, 26 is good and 20, I didn't know at least 26 was good and 30 is bad, or we didn't use that language, I guess, in the 80s and the 90s, or at least the children didn't. But I grew up in District 25. I worked in District 26 for 11 years. I work in District 30 now. I live in District 28, and I live directly across the street from District 29. And down the block from my job is District 24. So I have a connection to all Queens school districts. And I'm so excited to be back. This is my first meeting in a couple of months. It's been a busy winter for me with my first master's class that happens to meet on a Wednesday. So I wanted to discuss things like, as usual, the math curriculum that Dr. D'Antona shared about, the Black Studies curriculum. I am still in utter shock that District 25 only has, I think, 3.4 or 3.9% students that identify as Black. And that was really shocking to me, being a Black woman who grew up in District 25. I'm still very curious about how we are ensuring that that small percentage of students feel a strong sense of belonging in the district. And I also wanted to ask about the District 75 rep on the CEC, and discussing at future meetings what schools have District 75 programs in District 25 and what programs like P811, P255, P9, the different District 75 programs and how they partner with schools in District 25. As well as summarizing. I have become recently very passionate about summarizing because I work in a 12-1-1 special education bridge class. And it is not, historically, you do not recommend students with IEPs for summer school. And it's like blowing my mind that there's no space for them in summer school unless they're in a 12-month program and they are in the ESY program. So our regular IEP students usually are not eligible for this extra enrichment in the summer. And one last thing, I wanted to ask about the end of year iReady assessments. I wanted to make sure that families really look at their data of their child. A lot of parents are not looking at the breakdown section by section, phonics, this and that for ELA and math. I have students who grew 75 points in their iReady assessments from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year, just from encouragement. So if parents are very grounded in what these assessments can reveal, they can talk to their children at home, they can talk more in depth with their teacher and prepare for the end of year iReady assessment so that their kids can show substantial growth. So again, hello. I know that was a lot. I miss you all. I hope that wasn't too much. And that's it. Thank you so much.
I think Lamar has his hand raised as well.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Evening, everybody. Lamar Hughes, UFT District 25 representative. I wanted to give an update on a topic that my predecessor, our prior district rep, Joe Kessler, brought up a couple of months ago regarding the endeavor we have with our paraprofessionals in the district. So I just wanted to give you an update on what that looks like now. If you're not aware, we are working with the city council currently to pass a bill where our paras would receive a $10,000 bonus check every year. We're calling it a respect check. What we thankfully and fortunately and enthusiastically, I'm happy to report that out of 51 city council members, 44 have signed on to the bill, including those in our District 25 area. So Council Member Vicky Palladino has signed on, Council Member James Gennaro has signed on, Council Member Sandra Ung has signed on. So that's great. And I just want to make sure that our parents and our CEC understand the logic and the intent behind the bill. So if you have a child who has a paraprofessional, we understand the work that they provide. We understand that they work with our neediest students, whether it's District 75, whether it's in an ICT setting, whether it's in a self-contained setting. Their work is, I think it's the epitome of being the intangibles, of doing things that were not, how do I say, you can't describe their value and you can't describe their worth. So in our contract negotiations, we make sure that everyone within our UFT divisions gets the same in terms of a pay increase percentage, or gets the same in terms of a retention bonus, or any other things that we can work with to make it equal across the board. Unfortunately, with the pay scale, it's a different conversation. And pattern bargaining is good until it's not. And when you see what the gap is between what our paraprofessional makes and what our classroom teachers or school counselors or whomever else in our divisions make, we really have to understand that we've got to close this gap. So there will come a time, well, I don't think so, I shouldn't say there will, but if there's ever a time where we need parent voice to talk about how paraprofessionals are integral in their child's, sorry, I'm driving, I just hit a pothole, in their child's growth, we would love to have on our parents and even our CEC folks from District 25 who would be willing to share those experiences. Right now, I think everything is good. I think once it goes to a hearing and it goes to a vote somewhere towards the end of the year, we should be good to go. But I wanted our CEC to know what that looks like and where we stand with it. I think we could all agree. Unequivocally that paraprofessionals are essential to our work and to the growth and to the work with our children. So I just wanted to share that with everyone. And if there are any new developments going into June, I'll definitely be sure to let you all know. I hope you're all having a great evening. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Are any of the other elected officials that are on wanting to speak? Just raise your hand so we know.
There is a question in the Q&A.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that in a second.
Okay, I was curious.
While you're working on that. I don't see any other hands raised. We're gonna address the question that's in the chat in a moment. But I'm gonna move over to my president's report real quick. We did have another one of our wellness collaboration meetings, prior to the CEC meeting this evening. We have come up with our slogan, and we are going to hopefully have one more meeting before the end of this year to kind of prepare for going into next year in the right path. So I just wanted to give an update on that to everybody. And we will probably be adding a special meeting for budget related information. So just when we do have that special meeting date planned, we'll make sure to share that out to everybody. So that's it from me for right now for President's report. Actually, sorry, I do have one other thing. The award ceremony is Wednesday, June 11th, which is our final meeting of this year, and will be taking place at Junior High School 194. So that is selected, and we'll be talking more about that during our business meeting, but we are working on the process of getting everything in order and organized for a great celebration for our students and teachers. Do you have something you want to share from that?
Yeah, no, I have to double check on that because typically there's school-based decisions that come with the SLT. I have to double check on that before.
Okay.
I don't want to give an incorrect answer because
So we'll
what I have in
respond
my
to
head
that
might not be
question
the
in the chat once we get a
I will double
response.
check on that. But I do want to make a couple of quick comments. Always huge supporter of paraprofessionals. My mom was a paraprofessional for over 30 years. And I do think that they have an enormous impact on children. So I will say that just as a son of a paraprofessional, they do serve a really important role. A couple of other things, Venus, just so that you know, iReady assessment still going on. We will have an update later on in hopefully in June, so that you'll hear a little bit more about that. Certainly talk more about the 75 programs that we have here in district, as we do have a number that are aligned with our both at the middle school and elementary school level. As we add more schools to the district, more D75 programs will also be added to our district community for sure. So you know there are certainly things there in the pipeline in terms of the Black Studies program, the AAPI program. Those are all things that there's an expectation that we're embedding those into our current Passport Social Studies curriculum. Those are all companion pieces to the curriculum already, and we'll see our schools implementing that over time. But I do want to just double check. I'm not sure that I like this answer, but yeah. So most of this is that choice is really an SLT driven type of conversations at the school level around that. It's around schools really having the discretion around grades 3 and 7 paper-based or computer-based testing. So there is not necessarily individual choice inside of that.
Thank you for getting.
But I'm going to double and triple check that one after this meeting just to make sure that I'm not inaccurate.
Okay, so does anybody have any new business to bring up for our calendar meeting? Go ahead.
Yes, I have some business. So, I'll lay this out. Posting a resolution.
No, there is not that option. It's not an option. It's a school-based decision.
Yeah.
So the resolution, I'll just sort of give a brief introduction and then I'll just read you the resolution and open up to the floor to discuss. And Catherine, please weigh in as you're a part of this as well. So, sorry, of course. Sorry, yeah. I see you. So this is related to the class size law and related to, you had the job fair to get teachers to man the classrooms. And this is related more towards having the physical classrooms. So the idea or concept is there's already a pre-K program for all, that those programs happen outside the Department of Education schools. And that, so the system's already in place, and that to the extent there's a 3K or pre-K in a school, that if making that classroom available would allow for the class size wall to be adhered to, or a step in the right direction, that we would encourage that school to take the 3K and pre-K out of the school and move it into a community-based organization. So that's basically the idea. I can't claim credit for the idea because it was Catherine's idea, but I think it's a great one. And I have, in prior life, have some familiarity with oversight of community-based organization that had a pre-K in it. And the other side of it is that it was tremendously economically impactful to the community-based organization as well. So not only was it an opportunity to ensure a first-class education, meet all the requirements that the city has for the classrooms, the condition, the teachers, all that, but then also creating an economic opportunity for somebody within that community. So that's the basic idea behind it, and it's really in support of lowering the class sizes within the schools. It's another tool and a step in that direction. Catherine, I don't know if you have anything to add.
No, not much there. I think you said it all, Bob. I think that if we can create more rooms to put our elementary school kids and to thin down those rooms, then I think it's a great way to do it. And I think that we've got a lot of community-based organizations that are already providing excellent 3K and pre-K programs to be able to expand them. I think would be beneficial to those organizations, and the benefit of creating the extra space in our elementary schools, I think is great too. And so, yes, I think so. Great job, Bob, putting this all together.
All right, great, thank you. Any sort of comments or things we want to talk about relating to this, and then I'll.
Before you read it, I was just checking. We have to actually save this for the business meeting. To talk about it, and then we would be able to decide.
Okay,
after.
so it's not new business.
It is, but it's for the business meeting.
Okay.
Sorry.
Next month, you would vote on it during the calendar meeting at the following meeting.
New business in the business meeting.
Okay.
Sorry.
We're gonna vote on it. We're gonna vote on it at the award ceremony in June.
Or our special meeting that we are gonna have.
Special meeting, yes. Okay. If you're gonna do it at a special meeting, just make sure that's on the agenda.
Okay.
So then that has to be an in-person special meeting. So we would all have to be here on that.
We're gonna have to be, when they give me a date, we're gonna have to be anyway.
Okay, okay.
Sorry, guys.
All right. Okay, that was a dry run.
Testing.
Yes, that was a good preview.
So we will table that
I'll
for
be
a little while.
more emphatic next time.
So any other new business for now?
It's what your business is now.
Nobody has it? Okay. Anybody want to make one? Thank you.
Second one.
Okay, so Isma and Charlie. Okay, we're gonna move right into our business meeting because it's getting late and we do have a lot in our business meeting. So I'm gonna call the business meeting to order at 8:31.
Got it.
Roll call.
Here.
Joseph, are you here?
Present, finally.
Grace.
Present.
Elton.
Here.
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 Eden.
Here.
Present.
Don.
Present.
Thank you.
Joe, you're up first with your treasurer's report. It's in your folder. In your folder at the.
Yes. Sorry, I have to be in because I'm serving on CEC 25. I've never been to any of the parent PDA meetings in the parish. They're both in. All right, so So we have $0 left in equipment. We have well, we spent $9,300 to do reimbursement. We have $1,700 left. Meeting expenses, we spent $2,681. We still have $5,081. $5,081 left. For sure, we're gonna spend all that on the awards. P cards still have 500. Supplies, we still have $540 left. We have nothing left for repair, so nothing better be broken. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, so just to touch base on the award ceremony, you just want to grab those items for me? So we do have our items here already. Luckily, thanks to Maribel, Egypt and I staying on very late one Friday night, we were able to get the order in right in time, and it came pretty quick. So we have all the items. The school was decided that it's going to be junior high school 194 again. And we are in the process of receiving all the names of the students and teachers. I did have a question for you. Last year we did the other staff awards, the Big Apple. Will those be addressed again at the company? Definitely not asked. So be very careful, guys, as it's coming around, but you guys can take a look at how things came out. They look really nice. I can't do it. I told you I'm in a meeting. Find something else.
I love it.
Wow.
Nice.
But we're not gonna, don't say names.
Just stand in the front and let
You're okay, she's not on. Person's not on. This is one of the awards.
Look at our side.
Very nice. I love it, Egypt.
And then she'll show you the other one, and then the medal are gonna be for everybody, and the notebooks, the one thing we tried to get the logo to be a little bit bigger, unfortunately, the company couldn't do that. But it's something useful and nice for the teachers to receive, so those are for the teachers.
And for the council members to receive.
I think they're really great. It's a practical tool.
I'm gonna turn it off and walk away.
Example.
I don't care. Find something else.
Oh, I love the medal that they're.
Mrs. Sarah, can you see if you can help her? Good, with other stuff, go ahead.
It looks nice.
Very pretty.
Yes.
Very pretty.
See if Mrs. Sarah can help you.
Nice.
And that is the other one.
Like they're on the award? Here. I love this.
Actually,
Oh, they're okay.
So, yeah, so we're in a good place. Egypt and I will be conversing as we get the rest of the school names in to work on the program again, like we did last year, get the awards ready and get like kind of the lay of the program for that night. So we're in good shape for that. So I just wanted to give an update. I know Shirley had picked out a lot of these items and then we had to kind of play around with bids for different places. So thank you, Shirley, for going in and like taking a look for us to get us started. Does anybody have any questions about that? We will have everyone showing up at 6 to start at 7. So everyone's aware.
We
So,
got budget for council members for the.
11.
Everybody.
June 11, Wednesday, June 11.
That's the only thing I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're there at 6 a.m., I'll be in bed. Thanks.
That's it, yeah.
That's right. Oh.
So that was really it for the award ceremony. Just if anyone has any questions, let me know. Okay, and then I'm gonna turn it over to Isma and Alvin next, so they can go over the bylaws really quick. Hopefully.
Go for it. I did all the work.
All right.
You think that.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Based from our last month's meeting, Isma and me and John were, selected. Supporting Isma.
He was supportive.
Support, yes. We were told to update our bylaws and me and Isma have, gone over the bylaws and we have highlighted some of the proposed details here, you see in yellow. Each one has a copy there. Basically, we wanted tonight is to get a resolution
number one, to okay what we have right now, but also to bring up the issue of proposed revisions to the bylaws. As ISMA have informed with me, CECs throughout the city, they also have bylaws themselves, and they also have issues with bylaws. What you see in yellow are things that we feel that we can, modify within our bylaws, but we still need the members of the CEC to pass a resolution to agree with.
And these things in yellow, those are already the bylaws you highlighted, or those are what you're adding?
So there's two documents. There is one that says proposed resolution and there is one that says the bylaws.
Right, the one I'm looking
The
at the bylaws now would be.
Okay, so the one that says the bylaws is the current bylaws with highlights in yellow that we would like to add, which is in line with the OML and the whatever the addendum that was issued with the hybrid meeting. So this is good. It needs to be reviewed, edited, and voted on, which is the bylaws. This particular document that says proposed resolution, we would like to start an initiative to make these changes. But because the resolution there's nothing that's happened. It's not in the OMLs. There's a separate process to go over that. I say that. Right?
So, yeah, I'm just not sure what the resolution part is, because you want to adopt the new template. Is that what you want to do?
Which is this.
That's
And then, for instance, maybe I'm not using the right words. If I want to change the quorum, I can't do that because I need to go through a different process. It can't go through here.
Because it's part of the education law.
Exactly. So these proposed changes is what we would like to discuss to see if this member, wants to start an initiative to propose a change to the education law.
So that would be looking to do a resolution towards the education law.
Yes.
I think you're getting at.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Got
two
it.
separate items. One is bylaws, the
That's why I was
changes
trying
that
to-
are there. We can approve it and it can go into effect, or we can make changes and vote on it next meeting, and it can go in effect, because this matches the exact education law and the template, the whole 9 yards.
So
including the hybrid meeting. So which is this document.
I know this was also emailed out to everybody as
Yes,
well,
it
so
was.
did you guys have a chance to look at it prior to tonight? Or do you need a minute to look at it?
Now, but
Well, prior to now.
Well,
no, I looked at it.
I'll try to make it
During the
simple,
superintendent.
because we're actually governed by the state's open meetings law and the state education law. So every CEC already has their own bylaws set already. Now, this could be from the past 2 years, the past 4 years, or the past 6 years. But what we need to do, moving forward as this current CEC, is to pass a resolution that we approve whatever the bylaws that was given to us. But we also would like to propose.
So I think you're kind of taking a step backwards from where we got to just now.
same-
So
yeah,
right
yeah.
now, we're looking at this packet first. This is the changes you guys want to have us set up.
This is what was given.
This is the updated version though.
It is
that we have.
That's the updated version,
Yes.
but-
We're not touching this yet, because this has to go in as a resolution.
Yes.
Right.
That has to be written up.
Yes.
So that's what we were telling you. That's where the disconnect was.
So step one,
Is we need to go over
we need
this
to review this.
and know if
or
we're ready to vote.
Or no vote, or change, whatever. This is a bigger discussion.
Yeah, that's a separate.
That's
That's
separate
fine.
discussion.
long-term
Yes, exactly,
Or
yes.
long-term advocacy. So that's why I was asking, has everyone had a chance to look at the bylaw packet to see if they're comfortable taking a vote tonight on the bylaws?
Well, you would review them tonight, and then you could vote on them next month.
Our word ceremony is actually. Our June meeting is always the award ceremony.
So by law, the council has to have a meeting every month. That's.
Because we never did the.
We've never.
I don't
That
know.
was my third
I
year,
don't
that's
know-
never
I don't-
happened.
I don't know about the past, and I can only speak to the law. And the law says that every month you have to have a meeting where the superintendent has the opportunity to share the state of the district any work on any business that you need to work on.
Require like multiple meetings to also, it's not just one. It's specific for each CEC, but a lot of CECs in the city take multiple bylaws to change.
Minimum of meetings. So this one, yep, we can discuss it, review it, you know, and then the next meeting.
Right.
So I guess Isma, do you wanna go over,
You had events that you did.
so Isma, maybe go through the sections where there's changes and just speak to those changes for now.
Yeah, they're already there. Extra copies are in the window.
Starting on page 5, I think is the first spot.
I was hoping they would show it up on the screen.
Well, we can read it. Yeah, we all have it.
Well, page 5, the highlighted, all meetings shall be held in facilities accessible to disabled. After that, you see that the council is authorized to conduct hybrid meeting in accordance with the open meeting law and may allow members to experience an extraordinary circumstance. Symptoms of illness, working emergencies, COVID-19, family or personal emergencies, ineligibility to attend in person due to public policy, other specific individual circumstances that have been approved by the council to attend meetings by video conference. And then it goes here, as long as a quorum of the members attend in person at one or more locations open to the public. 2, as long as the member can be seen, heard, and identified while the open portion of the meeting is being conducted. And 3, as otherwise permitted under chapter 56 of the laws of 2022.
Sorry, in section 2, I'm sorry, I'm not exactly sure where you are, but did you?
Right here, we're right above section 2.
Oh, you didn't get there yet, okay.
Yeah, I was reading whatever was
Okay,
highlighted.
sorry.
The question is, that whole paragraph is you, that's all you read it down.
Yes, but I didn't come up with those words. That's exactly what's in the OML. I literally just had to take that and put that in. Because the resolution was already passed, we had to do the next step to update the bylaws.
May I be recognized?
Yes.
So I'm just reviewing these 2 documents. So the proposed resolution, I thought the resolution was a resolution where you are reaching out to New York State to update the form requirements.
So we're not
Yes.
discussing this.
But I'm looking at this resolutions document and it's showing proposed amendments to the bylaws, which would be here, like.
They're not. These are not here.
But they should be, right? Like, reasons for excused absences or unexcused absences, like all of these things, these you can vote on.
So I have that.
Okay.
There's some that are in line with the education law,
Okay,
which is why we wanted to make sure the bylaws are voted on and in effect.
Right.
At the same time, there are certain sections in the bylaws that we strongly believe should change, that are not in line with the education law, which is all written here. So if you open the
but
bylaws,
this is in line with the education law.
yes, but if you open the bylaws, look at the bylaws, section 2, which is what she was at, but we were at number 5, which is what Elvin started. You see the excused absence on page 6.
That members may request an absence if the request is submitted at least 30 days in advance. You need to give a month's notice of an absence.
That's what we propose, yes.
That's not how,
What?
We propose that.
people can't necessarily know in 30 days.
That's
I don't think that's logical.
That's an additional absence, that's not like.
Usually it's
holiday
been
or
like-
sick, right? But that's additional, that's another way, that's an absence.
The 72 hours is what I've always,
That's a council decision. It could be, you know, like, this is the discussion you can have. You could even say 24 hours if you wanted to.
They say 48 here. You look at the next bullet,
24 hours.
well, that's fine too, but I'm just saying like. Not, so 30 is an additional thing.
yeah, I think 30 days is outrageous and unrealistic to ask anybody to give 30 days notice.
Okay, I didn't want to get confused with this stuff.
Okay.
Well, the thing is this,
You could just take out the whole
one thing that we felt,
Okay.
as we did discussing, is that, you know, we all have our own personal lives, or business, our jobs, our families that we need to tend to. And as they did say, that this community education council is a way of trying to connect the community. But with the stringent demands that they impose on its members, saying that if you don't give them an advance notice, you know, emergencies do happen. But what we're trying to say here is that there needs to be some leeway. So the 30 days is actually.
Where does 30 days give leeway? That's giving like a month in advance,
Well,
hey, I have
listen,
something happening the day
If
before.
you
all of a
have something that
sudden.
was planned earlier before, it came up, but you know that you're not gonna be at the next meeting, you should notify the council, at least let them have some room to work on.
But I think like just knowing like 24 to 48 hours in advance is
But
fine.
see, those are what we call emergencies.
But if you do know that, like, when I knew I couldn't be here because of something, I knew more than a month in advance, I gave like, let's say more than a month's notice. But I don't think it should be like an obligation that somebody has to give them.
This is something that we're putting into bylaws so that it gives leeway.
I think the intent is, listen, there, you can be excused for certain things. Right, like a work conflict, religious holiday conflict, sickness, something like that. It sounds to me like this 30 days is like something totally different, like, I don't know, I'm going to dinner or something that night. It's not an excuse, it's not like, it's not a good excuse necessarily, that I'm giving 30 days, right? It's not a religious holiday, it's not work, it's not something that came up, but it's something that they're giving. This, without this 30 days, something like that wouldn't be allowed, even 48 hours. But you can't just say 48 hours ahead, I don't feel like coming. But can you? I mean,
People
I
have
didn't
done
see
it.
that. Well, I mean, those people aren't here.
We won't go there, but it has been done.
But there was consequence for that,
Yeah,
right? So,
that's,
right, but I'm saying this is. I mean, I agree 30 days is too much notice for certain things, right? But those things, they already have the ability to be excused.
So not 30 days, 2 weeks notice, sure.
I mean, I'm not.
Catherine, you look like you want to say something.
No, I don't, why are you gonna make it harder for people when it's
Oh,
already
see, that's
hard
the
to be
thing,
here?
that's the thing. I don't think they, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, because you guys wrote this, I don't think they put this in to make it harder, I think they put this in to provide an extra ability to be excused. This is not saying you need
So
to
it's an
notify
excuse
30 days, you can
absence?
say, it's for 30 days,
Yes,
if you have an
if you inform
appointment.
30 days or whatever, we decide 2 weeks, then it would be deemed as an excuse absence. That was.
But we
the-
still have to kind of vote to prove the absence anyway, when it comes time for the meeting. Right, Marvel?
Sorry.
We still have to vote to excuse the absence anyway at that point.
Not if it's on the bylaws.
No, that's not, I think that's what they're saying, it doesn't have.
So, yeah, that's what we're saying. If it's an excused absence, bylaws says excused absence. We want to add so that people don't take advantage. You give it 2 weeks, then yeah, every 2 weeks, I'm gonna tell you, I gotta go to the mosque. Right? So at least this way, if they actually have something and they inform, I'm informing you well ahead of time that I need to take this religious holiday off on such and such day. Then that's an excuse.
Okay.
It's not a religious holiday is not an excuse.
It's not, it wasn't in there. That was one thing that wasn't, I
And
know
we've,
that.
and we've added that already. And the reason is to document is because there were certain things Alvin and I did not want to put in the bylaws with fear that the bylaws will get stuck. So Maribel has just confirmed that on the proposed resolution, if you go to the third page where I have listed excused absences and what is counted as unexcused absences, that entire paragraph can be part of the bylaw. We do not need to go through the education law or whatever. So Maribel has confirmed that, but we didn't want to put all of this in the bylaws just for it to be slapped down. So the ones that we know are safe and are accepted, we put them in the bylaws. The ones that we're unsure whether we have to go to the education law, the whole 9 yards, are in the proposed resolution.
Thank you.
Do these excuse actions need to be like in writing, like where, like, you just. That gets last in writing, the president?
Yeah, we go to the president,
Just, I guess.
Egypt or a president, and then Egypt would kind of share it to whoever, whether myself or whoever is president on the line. We are going into a new year, before you know it.
Which doesn't, I mean, how? I'm defending the 30 days.
Which wasn't there before.
That should be an extra catch-all, but it should be like a specific, specific excuse for like a work.
So
not like-
I think just to kind of expedite this a little bit for tonight, take time, look at it. We're gonna obviously have to have another meeting in June, which will address that issue separately. Everyone take time, making some notes for yourself, and then bring it back when we meet next, and we can kind of further that discussion and then see if they will.
So what Maribel has just said is, she's going over the items on the proposed resolution to confirm which ones can actually go into the bylaws without going through, passing on a resolution and going through the education law business. And the ones that cannot will then be discussed in the next meeting as something that we wanna take an initiative on a launch.
I think even though the current, like, updates, we still have to have people take time. before
Yes,
they-
yes.
So, and then come, well, so we'll come back to it, but
So
just wanna.
I'm saying there will be updates to this because Maribel is confirming what from this can already go in here. Then it's a copy paste and I can email it out.
Email it out.
I'll set up, and I'll set up some time with the
Yes.
bylaws committees.
To go over.
Yeah.
For them. Okay, perfect.
So
Okay.
you guys let me know what your
Yeah,
availability
so
is.
they can review
We could
this,
set up a time.
but
together.
expect an
Sure.
updated, right.
Can I just make a suggestion? You guys know how to use track changes?
Do we know?
No, what? I don't even know what it is.
Really?
Seriously, I'm
What?
sorry.
You have words?
Actually,
Sorry,
no.
what do we know how to use?
Track
changes.
As in the Word document?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Can you do that, make it like that,
Yes,
so we see what's added?
that was the intent, but then Alvin was very busy. so-
Alvin.
Alright, anyway, and then
Then if you think of like those sections of where the changes are.
That's what, like,
Okay.
crosses out what-
Little
And
couple
who
words.
can
Oh,
make
I
changes.
think
Sure.
the Google Doc that's shared, like that, like it would be, no.
Yeah, it's a Google Doc.
Now you're going another way.
So
It's the same,
So-
That's what I knew.
that has that function.
Okay.
it's the same
So-
function, it's
I'm
exactly
gonna-
the same
Okay,
function.
anyway,
It's
Guys.
just on Word, not Google. Docs.
Okay, so there will be another email version at some point coming out, but for now, review this. Thank you guys for the start of this, but we will continue this conversation after that, but
And then-
Maribel will make time to meet with Isma and Alvin to kind of go over and then push out an email to us with additional updates.
And Alvin will make time to meet with us, right?
Alvin, you will be making
I will
time.
make
Well, no, he's available,
Okay.
he's definitely available, but.
So
What happens if we don't approve this next meeting? What happens?
Just
Are we
say that.
looking
In the
at
next
this?
committee, next committee, has.
it could be brought up next year that this is the start of it,
Okay.
and then they continue the process. So we're gonna move on from that for now. Website update, just to let everyone know, we are in the final tweaks at this point. Thanks to Egypt, she's done an amazing job. I thought I was gonna be helping her, and she did most of it.
Don't
Good
forget,
job,
I'm not a web designer.
And she's not a web designer, and she's So once Lewis returns from his vacation, we will get the last tweaks in. And then the old page from the district site will give people, hey, you're being redirected, and they will direct them to our website.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that's where we're up to at this point.
This is a link to it. Just-
So
I don't have
there
Word on
has
my
to be a
computer.
time when you can see the new.
I would like to change my bylaws partner. The partners with Ethan, you get claps and standing ovation and.
She did it all, like,
Thank you. I'm kidding. No, you're
Okay, so new business, now, just to go back to your resolution for a minute before I go on to the other new business that I have. Go for it.
Okay, so obviously this is the first time I'm doing this, so
It's resolution number 2, by the way.
Okay, so resolution number 2, excellent.
Just so you know. Thanks, Maribel.
I would be upset like Mike, I like to be number 1, but.
That's it.
But okay, we'll be 2. So again, the concept is in conjunction with a lot of things that need to fall into place to comply with the new class size law. What I'm proposing here is that we, to the extent there's a 3K or pre-K in an existing DOE school, that the opportunity to move that out of the school to free up those classrooms into a community-based organization, be done, so that I think the benefit is freeing up class space, classrooms in the buildings to accommodate the class size rule. And then secondly, creating opportunities for this community-based organization to provide this service that is funded by the city. So that's the basic idea. I will read through the details of it, but again, I'd also like to kick around the sort of the process here. Is I understand this has to be in a public forum with people, the opportunity for people to comment on it, not just us comment on it, but the public as a whole. So then I guess I would want to have this added to the agenda for next meeting, so that and I guess that's the question. What is the process?
We need you. Re-ask your question.
Okay, so as I would gather that this needs to be presented not just to the council, but to the public, for the public to weigh in and comment on it, as the council members may choose to comment on it as well. So the process, I guess, is to we've introduced it here, but then have it put on the agenda for the next meeting, have the draft of the resolution as well. So it's an agenda item, the draft is there, it's publicly disseminated, and then the public has a chance to talk on it. We have a chance to talk on it.
So what you want to do generally when you have a resolution, basically what you outline, you bring it first to your business meeting. The council members discuss it, and then you can vote to add it to the next calendar meeting.
Okay.
At the next calendar meeting, you will share it with the public. You'll read it, share it, have copies for the public as well. We'll
Let
discuss
me
it.
just understand that. So we vote on whether it can become an agenda item?
Yes.
That doesn't seem right.
Well, first, all agenda items should be agreed upon by the council. So if there isn't, the president creates the agenda with input from the council.
Yeah, I usually email it out and say, hey, if there's anything you have.
Right. So now you're discussing this resolution, right?
Yeah.
So now you're going to say, yes, we want to put this on next month's calendar meeting.
Okay.
And then once you review it at the calendar meeting, you're gonna read it. You're also gonna have copies for the public so they can read it as well. You'll discuss it first at the calendar meeting, and then you'll open it up to the floor. So the public comment session of your meeting is at the end, but if you have resolutions, you'll have kind of a separate public comment session, right? You'll ask if any members of the public have any comments about the resolution. And then, after that, you will vote on the resolution.
So our calendar meeting is the awards, but if we make another calendar meeting, that can be, let's say the first week of June, the emergency one we're gonna have to do for the budget, right? Is that what?
I'm waiting for a date from them.
If we do that, then that will be the meeting it's done in, or we're doing it at the awards.
I think if we're gonna have that budget meeting, we're just gonna make it all in one meeting and put together a full agenda that way.
And you can even consider having, so a special meeting is for a very specific item. It's not for another meeting, right? So you have a special meeting because you wanna vote on the bylaws. You have a special meeting because you have to have the C4E presentation, right? But you can't have a special meeting where you're kind of like jam-packing the agenda. The special meetings really are meant for specific things. I think where the problem really is having the award ceremony with the meeting. Perhaps
We do have an agenda usually associated to the awards ceremony is how we've always done it. And Dr. Mike does speak at the award ceremony. So that's why we haven't done a separate meeting, because it's kind of, there's an agenda to the whole thing. You still do business meeting per se that night.
So you will need to have a business meeting that night as well. But the problem that you're running into now is that the council wants to get a lot of things done, right? And now you don't have time to do those things. And you don't want to be in that place, right? Because the council wants to be able to, and it's the end of your term, right? So you want to be able to do these things before, the term ends. So these are just, considerations, right? Because I can't tell you what to do, right? You're autonomous, but just, thinking about.
But I don't think we want to have like 5 special meetings either at this point.
Right.
So I know I don't have the time to put 5 special meetings on my calendar right now.
Meeting has to every, because we can only talk about one topic, right?
A special meeting is for a
So-
specific topic.
And it has to be in person.
Yeah,
Well,
now,
whenever the council gets together, it has to be in person.
Would everyone be willing to stay after we finish the awards?
so can I ask a question before you answer that question? What if we not?
We're not gonna get everyone there that early.
And remember, your calendar
ask a
meeting has to be aligned with the time of your bylaws.
Can we have a special meeting,
I'm gonna stand over here, because I don't
pass
feel like.
resolution? That way we can do yours and we can do mine, hopefully.
A resolution meeting, a special meeting for resolution.
Okay,
budget.
yeah, because.
So it's a
there's
special
resolution
meeting,
two.
it's for resolution, it doesn't,
Resolution.
yeah, it's not
Approving
limited to
the
one resolution,
bylaws.
I mean, you get what I'm saying, right?
So resolution 1, by the way, was the best resolution, because you got your A.
That was where number 2 came into play.
So that's what I want. So you want to have a special meeting to go over, you can have a special meeting to amend your bylaws, right? And I think that it's important to be clear about the resolution and the bylaws, because I feel like that's like getting confusing. But you can have a special meeting to adopt the updated bylaws template. Because you all have like the old template, which is missing some of the language, right?
Right.
Around the hybrid meetings, around all these things, right? So you want to adopt the new template with these revisions, right? So that takes 2 meetings, one to discuss, and then the next one to vote on.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really say this one here was discussion, right? Because there's so much more to discuss.
Yeah, right.
So you're gonna have to have another meeting where you're discussing these proposed amendments, and then the following meeting to vote on them.
Oh, 3 meetings? No. That's
Oh.
not like.
It's kind of,
One-
yes, technically it's
discuss
turning
proposed
into,
amendments.
it's turning into more.
And this has to be back for
I mean,
30.
it's turning into 3 meetings, but this one, you're not really getting into it deeply, right? This was just kind of barely touching the surface.
Right.
So you didn't really discuss all of the bylaws.
We didn't even get to page 3.
Right, so you need to have time. to do
Since
that.
there's things that have to be, it
No.
didn't make sense to keep going through at that
Right.
point.
Some
Since
feedback would
Bob
be
and
nice
Catherine
to
have
go
that
over the
resolution,
changes.
you said it has to be
To see where we're
addressed to the
at.
public. Which
Which.
means that you can't really do it at an award ceremony, because you're like 2 hours, like giving out awards to all these teachers and students. And expect them to, hold another meeting just for public forum.
So I'll be honest, I came in and Shirley was here when I joined. The award ceremony had always been the June meeting. I don't know if there was a plan like before that, but I know like last year we had an agenda for the award ceremony, so it was like set up in a meeting format. That's why we've done it like that, because there was an agenda, and I was actually looking over it with Egypt earlier today. Because it was like the run of the night and everything like that, we had an agenda kind of layout.
We did vote on minutes.
And we voted on, like, we did adopt minutes there, everything like that, so we did do these things there, and Dr. Mike spoke.
You can still conduct the meeting, it's just a different. type
It's just
of-
a different format, so it is a meeting that month, that award ceremony, it is a meeting. But we are going to need a special meeting because of the C4E thing, and they haven't given us a date yet, it's up in the air. Now we're talking about also adding a meeting for a resolution, adding a meeting for the bylaws discussion and bylaws voting.
So this is a very short resolution. I think you could probably do it at your calendar meeting. But I don't know.
Can I ask a question?
I would think.
It's a short resolution. I don't know.
Can I ask you a quick question? I understand like everybody's proposals are very important to them, to all of us. But I don't see what the emergency is. Why can't we do this in July and August?
We're not, this is not the
hearing
board,
what
we're not July and
we're
August.
Pass it to the next group. Pass it to the next
And,
group.
and to your point, I think everyone has to be comfortable saying, you know, we've done all that we can, we're drafting these bylaws, and hopefully, you know, it'll start things going for the next time and be okay with not necessarily being able to adopt them.
I mean, I understand.
I just don't see us logically being able to get 3 or 4 meetings on the calendar between now and June 30th.
Right.
And it's not worth listening.
Yes.
These are bylaws that are gonna govern, so fine, we all get it done, and then we all bounce, it sucks, right?
What's the point of that? I was just gonna say that.
Not that they do. I don't know.
Would it make more sense to it in July, August?
For the group that's coming in, the
But
group
that's
that's actually
but
gonna.
they're coming.
But what if the group that's coming in,
There we go.
there's a result, they have one
Can we
to adopt,
do
then
a vote?
Yeah,
But let's all take a look at the bylaws, every council member tonight.
Like, that's not be on the.
Next month,
The discussion,
they'll take a
No,
vote to
discussion,
adopt
not
the
voting.
new template into the bylaws. But leaving room also that whatever we propose, we were gonna hand it over to the next council, starting in July and August, and let them find new members to work on the resolution, if they feel they need to.
So if I can give a quick recommendation, so you have multiple things that you want to get accomplished, which of them would you
Is
want to
priority.
prioritize? That this group would like to do in the immediate future, and then the other 1 or 2 can be left for the future council to wind up making those decisions on. Because you're not gonna necessarily be able to do all 3 of those things well. Which one of those can you say again?
It's a better way of saying it.
Which one of those is the best option to choose as a team to say that this is where we want to leave our mark as this committee, that we were able to do and get accomplished together. So that the next committee has one less thing for them to think about as part of their work. That would be my recommendation to you in terms of a group. Identify the one that you say, you know what, this one's the most important for us right now to get accomplished as a team. And then you move forward after that with whomever it is that the next committee is.
So
That's my own 2 cents.
from that feedback, this looks very simple. 1, 2, 3. I feel
Yes.
like if we go over real quick, we could then at award ceremony, get to share it.
Oh, don't put me up on the screen. What?
And
I can't feel myself.
I think that would be done in over. I think if we want to further discuss the bylaws, maybe can a special meeting be C4E and bylaws? Can we have 2 topics for the special meeting?
I mean, you can.
And then just do
But I-
1 special meeting?
I don't know how long the C4E presentation is. and
It
how-
wasn't long last time. It was
I
very
would-
quick last time I remember.
So the special meeting, the date matters or date matters, right?
That's
special
before
meeting-
June 30th.
Yeah,
Well,
special meeting could be any date that the council is available. You wanna-
No,
you
no,
wanna
what
give
I'm
the
trying to
question.
say is, we wanna do a special meeting May 19th from 9 AM to 11 PM for item A. And then May 19th, 3 PM to 5 PM. item B. That's it.
You can, as long as you get 48 hours notice to public.
See, it works. One day we could.
72 hours for calendar meeting, 48 hours for special.
Do we have a budget for like proper lunch and breakfast, the whole 9 yards?
Okay, so why don't we quickly, I think everyone could read through it. I don't know that you need to
I
read it
want
out.
so we're voting to discuss this in next week's.
To add it to the calendar.
Add this to the
For
agenda.
discussion, right?
Yeah, and to vote on.
Okay, so we're voting.
We are voting to add it to the calendar to take a vote.
I wanted to know, community-based organization, can you give me an example, because I don't know what that means. I
Community-based
personally
organization.
don't, I'm not for this idea of moving the children, if they already are in a building where there is the other classes, like elementary. I like that idea, I'm more for that, I understand what the proposal is here. And what the intent is as far as adding classes, the 1 line yard. But what does this where would the kids go, what community-based organization, if you can give me an example? I can
Sure, so
understand.
there's all kinds of different community-based organizations. So, yeah, it could be, your American Legion, it could be your Korean Community Center, it could be some sort of religious community center. It could be anything that's within the community. And if you look. What?
No, it's,
No,
the
it's
DOE
us-
sends them the money. So for example, I'm sorry, Bob, I don't mean.
Yeah,
No,
that's
no,
fine.
go ahead.
Okay,
But yeah.
so community, so CPOs, the community-based organizations, it's like daycare centers, like Kitty Academy, like they places that still educate
Kiwi
the
Vaults,
children.
things like
And
that.
right now they're paid for privately by parents, these places, but these places can apply to become community-based organizations through the DOE and they can get their
And
funding.
this one, you'll see, we even have one right over here on the corner that'll have it'll have the pre-K sign that is from the Department of Education, which indicates that they're supported by the Department of Education.
Well, and they're also examined as well, so there's certain requirements. So like, for example, each classroom has to have a sink in it. If it is in a religious organization, there can't be any religious items, so it needs to be like a public school, or it's agnostic. So there are a whole bunch of requirements. The Department of Education sends somebody out to make sure that they're compliant, and there's things about, the bathroom has to be so many feet from the door, and then, appropriate exits and all sorts of stuff. So it's not.
There are a lot of high standards that need to be met in order to qualify as CBO for the pre-K.
The school setting is better, but right now, we don't have a choice. Because if you want to reduce the class size, you're not building, you're building, and you can't reduce the number of kids enrolled in your school.
I think only certain schools are having that struggle though, also.
I think there are pros and cons to any kind of document that you share with the community. I mean, there will be some that would say, but I have my 5-year-old that's at that school and I don't want to have to travel to another space to drop off my 4-year-old. There are those that really appreciate the idea of being in their community school. And there are going to be those that love the idea of, I'm good with sending my child to a community-based organization. You're going to have both perspectives on that.
I know it's something that we started talking about even last year.
I'm okay with pre-K, not necessarily pre-K.
Pre-K is already in a lot of the, they're in a lot of the, it's in a lot of the CBO buildings already. So like,
It's just saying, don't continue to have pre-K necessarily in public school buildings, so those are.
Yeah, I
is
would,
what you're talking
my
about.
preference is children to go to pre-K to public school.
right, but it's still a public program, it's
It
the
is a
same
public-
program, it's
No,
the
but
same
it's
program,
not in a
it's not
school
in.
setting.
It
It's
is
not
a
a
school
school
setting.
setting.
It is a school, it is a school setting. It's all schools. They're all schools. Kitty Academy is a full-on, it's a daycare because it has extended hours from 6 a.m. drop off to.
Do they have 5 different pre-K classes?
They have 5 different pre-K classes, they have kindergarten classes even in it, they have 3K classes in it. They also have the very young infants there too, but their 3K and their pre-K are DOE funded. So you would expand those programs so that more of their pre-K and pre-K classes could be
I know.
DOE
I'm
funded.
trying
They
to-
are classrooms, I feel like maybe you're thinking they're like
Yeah,
playgrounds.
it was their daycare.
No.
It's
Oh,
not-
wait,
I can tell you the one that I was directly involved
So
in.
get us the calendar meeting, that's all I need to vote on.
We got a.
Let's go.
Guys, time out.
9:20, let's go.
Shirley just brought up a good point. My biggest thing is that I want us to vote if we're handing it to the calendar meeting.
Let's go.
We still have to go into an executive session after
We
that.
have to talk about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
I
think
think
yes.
we need to know adding bylaws also in the calendar meeting or next.
No,
Monday
that we're
we
gonna do
vote
with a
that.
special meeting with the
Okay.
C4E. So
Okay, let's go.
don't worry about that one for now. So can you go through the roll
I
call
got
so we can vote to add it to the meeting for next month?
It's not.
I am here.
Are you?
Oh,
gonna add it to the next meeting?
Agree. Discuss, yes. Yes.
Yes.
Joe,
Joe, are you okay adding it to the calendar meeting next month?
yay or nay to adding the resolution to the calendar meeting for next month?
Say it again.
Yay or nay for adding the resolution on the calendar?
It's
Yes.
school.
Yes.
But you get what I'm saying?
Great.
I wasn't
Yes,
discussing
we,
the resolution. I wanted to understand.
Alvin?
Yes.
Otherwise.
Catherine?
Yes, I vote yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Eden?
I'm gonna abstain.
Bob?
Yes.
And
Throw it in there.
John?
Yes.
Okay, that's the one.
That's fine. Okay,
Let's
so
go.
moving on. I need us to go into the executive session. We have a space that we're going to go to upstairs briefly.
All right now today?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
please bring your folder with you because we need to go over something in your folder.
You're gonna be done? No.
We will be back as soon as possible. I thought we were gonna go into executive session. Yes, we're gonna go upstairs real quick. You stay here. Stay here. We'll be quick, bro.
They have. If there is a standard of like what needs to be done in order to get the pre-K and the.
I'm staying here, guys.
I'm very.
No, you good. It's done? Yeah, you're good.
I have no comments from anybody.
What's up, buddy?
This is amazing.
I'm not sure, but maybe another 15 minutes.
They should have gone over the points that we've updated.
You're gonna do awesome.
No, it's fine.
You are gonna do awesome, buddy. Makes her up by one with 24 seconds. Oh, you got it on? 24 seconds. Oh, you're behind.
Upstairs.
Oh, do I want to give up today? No. I gotta do something, I'm gonna watch it again. I don't know, my camera says I have to see what's happening in real time. Yes, 24 seconds left.
Because if it's.
24 seconds. You wanna know what's happening?
Yeah.
I have to tell you. I gotta tell you. No, it's 24 seconds left.
I'm at 44 seconds.
You can see it right at.
Bye.
Oh, I can't believe this. They just go to commercial? Okay.
It's coffee over there.
Up 24 seconds left. Boston has the ball.
Coffee.
Does this just get thrown away or poured out and then thrown away, do you think?
You a coffee drinker? No. Maybe one of them will take it home. Put it in there. But yeah, once it, because it's sealed, it's not bad.
Yeah, okay.
They might,
Well, now it's-
some people put it in their refrigerator. And they get like coffee. I personally wouldn't do it.
That's what I said.
If it's been there too long, if it's been there for 5 minutes too long, I'm out.
Couple of hours.
Back on yet or not? Okay.
Now we'll be out.
I believe they're about to do this. You know, they were down 20 points.
Today?
Down 20 again.
Again? My mom said it when I went to the restaurant, I checked the phone and my mom, you watched, I was like, oh my God.
He's like, yeah, they're down 7. They're down 5.
And on Monday, game 1, I was at a town hall.
Guys, I'm watching it. I'm watching it.
You got the Knicks on too?
Yeah.
Can we just leave it in case someone wants to?
Yeah, because I was thinking.
Back games. No, they're down 1 with 18 seconds left.
And it doesn't have to be one of them.
I'm on a commercial.
Say again?
Yeah, stressful.
I'm on one too. You want it?
My goodies, I'm refreshing my, the app to see if it'll kind of catch up better.
What is it?
And Monday was the first time they beat them all season, right?
Yeah. They win today, they are, it's like a triangle on them.
He loves it. Brunson is the best thing. Brunson is the best thing that happened to this.
It's insane.
Get back.
Second bus?
What is that?
Today's the 7th. Today's Wednesday.
You gotta bring it out. The Knicks are on time.
I'm not watching it. Yeah, no, I would not, I call from previous, meetings. Like.
Oh, there it goes.
Yeah.
Go ahead and basket.
I think that was,
Yeah,
oh,
I looked away for a second.
I'll take that. I'll
And the
take
Brunson's
it.
lost
I claim it
15
now.
foul. Brunson's going to the line.
That's it, see, I knew it would happen.
12 seconds left, he's on to the
Oh,
line.
yeah, he's clutch.
Again.
That's how we go. It's good work. I told you. Okay. As soon as they come back in making a motion, we're getting the hell out of here. Yeah. The nice and simple terms. You just here's a stack for you.
Knicks are tied at 99, 12 seconds left. Really?
They tried to give me the whole thing. It's not my right and the pantry. Well, she doesn't have time.
Yeah, they're affiliated with them.
You know one thing, but I didn't
They have, I don't know who it is, but
I need to run here so we can get.
91, 90, Knicks up by 1.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I'm not even watching this.
Good night.
Maribel.
Who was first? Charlie?
Go. My Knicks fan in the scene showing right now.
There you go.
I can't help it. Oh my God, I can't believe it just happened.
Okay.